maybe even more, the dream begins one more time. It's a time to shake down the cars, see what you have underneath you, and ultimately to challenge what you can do in the HTL Cup Series. Now is the showcase. Who is going to take away the first challenge of the season? You are watching the HTL Cup Series Charity Shootout here at Daytona International Speedway live on ABN Esports. My name is Joe Cortez, joined me by Kevin Young. Kevin, this ought to be a fun race tonight on so many levels.
You can say that again. Obviously, this is a charity race for starters, benefiting the Alzheimer's Association. There'll be a link floating around there, so if you are able, you are welcome to donate, and we'll try to get that and keep that going. But talking about the race itself, this is, again, the last little bit of practice before it gets serious, before we have the duels, before we have qualifying and all that fun jazz to start off another great HTL season. But for right now, though, this is the last bit of chance for these drivers to have a little bit of fun and let off some steam before it really gets serious and the big boys and big girls and big whatevers go out there and have some fun and try to win some races.
Like you said, it is the first chance to shake down the cars for the season. It's the first chance to really get to know your competition. And for a lot of these guys, even though they are very familiar with one another, they're going to be testing every inch of this track, every inch of this car, and really get a feel for what it's going to be like when the HTL Cup Series finally does go completely live. It's going to be a whole new chance to really see how everything shakes out, and I'm excited to see what these guys have learned over the off season.
Yeah, 100% here. It's going to be a good test to check the numbers here at the very least. We obviously saw last season when we crowned a champion, all hunky-dory, and now for some drivers, they were sitting and wondering what went wrong. How did I not win a championship? Right now, you can see drivers taking advantage of the last 5 minutes of war up there as you Wyatt making a big mad dash there along with a 90, trying to make moves there. And you see new faces, new places, new other homes and addresses they'll have to get used to. But again, this is the last chance to make some tests, to make some run, to make something happen out of nothing.
Lots of drivers taking practice in anticipation of what will be a 20-minute group qualifying session out there. Currently leading the group is the 90 of Dean Clavette, Pacey Wingett. Also in the group, Willie Frazier, James Thompson, Alyssa Pellier-Sharp, rounding out your top 5, all running about 44.8 seconds, plus or minus. So we do have some very clear leaders right now who are showing their strength in the draft, but I've got a feeling that we maybe have some people who are holding back just a little bit as well.
Oh yeah, I would 100% agree with that statement at the very least, where drivers are kind of hanging back here a little bit. We saw before we went live some drivers doing pit parties, making strategies work here, and I think some drivers just haven't really taken advantage of that. They've come in, sat in the pit lane, maybe took a chance to have a nice little break, eat a sandwich or something in the pit lane, but now that time is about to run out in the practice session, I think this is the last chance for drivers to make a mad dash. Just like looking at the timing screen right now, Alfred Denny's the slowest driver out of the 22, and he is quite fast at these restrictor plate tracks, so I don't think you can count him out. I don't think you can count anyone in this 22 car field at the moment.
Push is about to come to shove, and it's not necessarily a bad thing here in the HTL Cup Series. It's way too early to start looking at who might be our winners or who's going to come out ahead. So let's talk a little bit about the format of tonight's race. 50-lap shootout for all of Stage 1. Wherever you land, and for the last 20 races of this race, they will invert the field. So you don't necessarily want to be first, but I don't think you want to be last either, because you will get run over very, very quickly by a lot of hungry drivers trying to win in the last 20 laps.
Yeah, and 100% these drivers do have one faster pair at the very least for each heat. So there is that benefit to kind of maybe take a little bit easy in the first stage, but there's also rewards and prizes for drivers that don't want to hang in the back. So even though there's beneficial maybe to hang into the back and try to win the last stage, Stage 1 winner gets a prize. The pole winner gets a prize. The overall winner gets a bigger prize. Second overall gets a big prize. So there's benefits and rewards to try to go out there and be competitive, try to win one of these stages or win the overall race. So even though you could lay back and hang out, but if you don't have that experience in that first 50 laps, you could easily get swallowed up by the cars that were aggressive and know how to run up front. So there's that risk and reward, and I think a few drivers will take a chance. If they lose a fast pair early, may say, all right, I'm just going to lay back here and screw the prize. I'm going to try to get the big granddaddy prize. But for others, they're going to go gun-ho until we see the finish line, and they're not going to lift until the very end.
And of course, this is all for a great cause. This year, the drivers are raising funds for the Alzheimer's Association. A very worthy cause, one that has certainly been affected by my family, has been affected by the disease, and it's definitely a cause that I think a lot of people are very passionate about here.
Yeah, 100% here. It's stuck a lot of drivers. Obviously, some people may have known someone that's been affected by Alzheimer's to a point, to a degree as well. Obviously, you have your own story there, Joe, as well. And it's a great cause, and it raises great awareness and great research to the cause. So it's definitely something, if you can donate, it would be great if you could. But if not, just share the stream out, share the link, and try to get some more awareness for the charity in question.
And of course, if you want to be able to donate directly to the charity itself, you can go to alz.org. They'll take you straight to the Alzheimer's Association website, where you too can donate and contribute to the cause of the evening. 18 seconds left in practice. We're about to go straight into qualifying. And I don't know about you, but I'm really fascinated about what's going to happen here in this group qualifying stage. 20 minutes, and everyone out here is going to be able to work with each other and amongst themselves to try to get qualifying number one. It's a race before the race.
Yeah, Rhett, at the very least, when I can see a few drivers, Pacey, Wygen having a little bit of fun here, blowing off a little bit of steam. I think it may be a bit of a curse, though, at the very least, like how like the Stanley Cup in hockey. You don't touch the cup before you won it. Doing burnouts like that could easily maybe signify a bit of a trouble. But we're at the end here, and we're going to get ready for some group qualifying, and it's going to be quite interesting because NASCAR tried this back in the 2010s range to mixed results at restrictor plates and other tracks as well. And it's going to be interesting to see because you got to work together to try to set a good time and find your friends and find your teammates. Friends are where you can find them.
The question is, who's going to be the first one to come out? As we saw earlier at restrictor pay tracks and these very large tracks, you don't necessarily want to be the first one out, but you don't want to be the last one out. You see them now lining up. Everybody kind of see who's going to go where, who's going to work with each other, and how it's going to work. Pacey Wygen is going to be the first one out, and she will lead a large contingent of cars onto the track.
Pacey is a very strong driver indeed. He's a very good driver. And note these plate races, we saw him take. He's the defending HTL Truck Series champion, and he is quite a strong driver at the very least. And we know he can qualify well. We saw him qualify well in other series under the ABN banner, like the A Cup Series. Qualified front row there. Qualified for last year's Truck Series on the front row, and even did a good qualifying plate racing when he came in and tried to take that team he was subbing in for to the top of the owner standing. So he is very strong in these plate racing, and if there's someone I want to kind of lead the charge, that 00 is someone I definitely want to be pushing or being pushed by to get a good run. Right now, he will be the torchbearer to set the lap, joined by the 2-car and the 90. And a good point to bring up, contact that validates laps.
I was right about to bring that up. As you see the two all over the bumper of the 00, that 2 machine of Joshua Arnold making contact back and forth, shoving the 00 down the line. And so it's very important to note that any contact, like you see there with the 90 now, the 90 of Dean Clavette making contact, that'll invalidate the lap. So this first lap they have will not count towards their qualifying effort. It looks like now they're backing off each other a little bit, running in line, starting to realize, hey, we actually have to work together if we want to turn a good qualifying time in. So
sorry, I'll let you finish the point there. I was just going to say, kind of using some technical analysis here, if, for instance, you could make this work out, laps are invalidated, 2 pushes the 00 well clear, the 90 can kind of just drift back a little bit and then use that head steer charm. You see it in real life where the 2 cars can get away from the pack, break away a little too much, and then they're sitting ducks and push in line. So if you have a teammate or a friend, you could say, all right, we're going to push 2 cars ahead. The car behind is going to suck behind and slowly push forward, and rocket ship a good lap, and then you can reverse the order and try it again. And we got well over 13 minutes, so that's an aggressive strategy that could work. And we'll see if anyone maybe tries it. And right now you can see the 90 kind of laying off just a bit, maybe to try to get that slingshot run, but the 00 gets a bad bump there, and they're going to have to regroup.
And that's what I was about to say about that aggressive strategy. It pays off. It's like betting 00 at a roulette table. It pays off well if it hits, but if you have a bad bump, if you have a bad miscommunication, it can go awry and go sideways very quickly and can hurt your entire operation. Currently at the top of the poll is 71 of Alyssa Pellier Sharp, returning at a qualifying time of 45.265, but that time is not going to stand.
Oh, no. Not even close. Look at that pack right there. That's a gaggle of cars. That is pretty much, I'd argue, half the field right now trying to work together. And I would personally like to be at the tail end of that right now, trying to get good runs. But you can see Alyssa Peltier Sharp there split in the middle as we follow Carmen Sienna here trying to find a point, but she just had to pump the brakes because the leaf filler car right ahead got a little checked up, and that's going to hurt her run as she comes across the line. We'll actually now ride on board with the 96, and she is currently behind Caitlin Height, I believe that is the 114. Callie, I should say. Callie, she won't be too happy I mixed that up, but right now, just going to keep the foot down and get tunnel vision, just try to run the lines to make something happen.
And the fun thing to note about this track is there definitely is 2 lines. I don't know that we'll see a 3rd line with as few cars as there are here tonight, but there's definitely 2 lines of racing, and the outside line can be arguably stronger depending on who you have in that train going with you. You see now 4 cars in this pack up front, choosing the high line, 6 down low. That high line is running very, very fast.
Yeah. Obviously, the shorter way around is the low side, but the high line can have its perks, especially in a race, especially with the side drafting, so it's not a bad strategy. And you can see right now this lead pack, they're going to catch the 94, Christopher Pendell, and that second line now fully trained up. Obviously, the risk of being all trained up, you get the advantage of speed, but the risk is you don't need a full pack to really try to catch up. You can get away with 5, 6 cars and get the max speed, and you risk being in the tail end, especially with a long line of cars, a checkup situation where you can then have to slow up just a bit and really kill the speed. And looking at the times right now, Alyssa Peltier Sharp is 2/10 clear of defending champion Josh Musosi, and that kind of shows right now that she got a good run. And right now, you got to work together or get kind of lucky if you want to try to make a run happen here.
Once again, the fastest time in qualifying, 44.824 by Dean Clement. Pacey Wygent, who had a 44.84 in practice, now turning 46.697. We are far from done with this qualifying, but I do not think we have seen the fastest times out of everybody yet.
No, I don't think so either. I think, car spinning in the back there, Carmen, Caitlin, Callie, bunch of other drivers. Obviously, new fill-in ride for the 11 as well. And a little tap there at the end. So drivers just that's mistakes happen. Being aggressive, mistakes can be made. And right now, they're going to have to get back up on that horse, come back in pit lane, and try it again. And with less time, and less time as time ticks down, drivers are going to be more aggressive, and that can lead more accidents and less opportunities to set that blistering lap you need if you want to be in pole position.
The nice thing about this track is that fuel and tires really don't matter as much. All that matters is that you run in line and clean with the person in front of you, and you have good communication, or at least, some sort of handshake agreement with the person behind you. The draft is way more important on this track, which makes damage much more serious, even if it's small damage, even if it's a fender busted open, or a wing, or a back spoiler that is askew. That can act like a big old parachute on your car, as we see more drama now back there. The 71 goes for a spin that time around. That can all act like a big parachute on you, and that can take you out just as quickly. So damage is something everyone's going to have to be cognizant about tonight.
Yeah, and the same point as well, even if you get minor damage, you may still think you can run, but that could affect obviously performance. Parachute out the car a little bit, hurt the draft, and you get to the point, even if you get engine damage just a little bit, obviously cars will have faster repair, but if that car gets affected a little bit, let's say in the horsepower direction, you won't be able to keep with the draft. If you affect the air on the front end, you may not be a good lead car, and you can only push. So there's situations where you have to know your car, know your situations, and know when to hold them and know when to fold them to at least a degree. So we'll have to see, again, drivers with experience at plate racing, drivers know how to run it. We have a nice little circle there to indicate the 90 getting a big run here on the backstretch. We'll have to keep an eye on this time here, because that's what I was talking about. If you get a good, but look at that cut up the line there. Is that black machine. Obviously, 2 cars running a bit of test schemes here. Goes to 55. But point is, that just killed the run. And that's, again, handshake agreements and whatnot are all good in times of friendlies, but at the end of the day, these drivers are racers. And if you see, hey, that's a pole run, I'm just going to pull up just a lane here, cut you off, and, well, shucks, that lap ain't going to count.
Funny how that works. Well, as we said, it is the race before the race. And there is no, when you're racing for position, as these guys are, they're not racing each other for position, they're racing the track for position. And as you're racing for position, as these are right now, those handshake agreements, those friendships, those fun rivalries, they go out the window. It's now all about, what can you do for me now? How can we do this? And what do you need? And where can you get me? And in order for me to help you. Alyssa Peltier Sharp's on pit road right now, still the fastest driver, 4,500 45.265 her qualifying time. John Hagan, not far off, 45.296. 6 minutes left in this race, and the more they race, the more I'm worried we might see more qualifying times in the 45s.
I mean, right there, ooh, look at that, almost a LePage to field there. I was holding my breath for just a second. I thought that was going to end horribly. But you see times begin to fall down. Hagan got close, and now is sitting on pit lane, just kind of maybe gearing up here. But it's just kind of like rolling the ball. Ed is this, rolling the ball up the hill here. Feels like you're banging your head against the wall, just trying to find some extra speed here. And different drivers have different strategies. Obviously a big pack here, but I'm also looking a little bit down the field. The 11 of Frazier is working with the 96 of Carmen Sienna, who is running alone here. And you can see another car here, the 23 of Richard O'Day, who is kind of a little bit slow here, a little bit up the road. And you'll see the pack just come and swallow him whole. That's 61 swooping on by. So that's the point here where, again, if you get too far ahead, you get swallowed up by the pack. You got to be careful about that. Now he'll go to the tail end, but maybe a bit of a blessing in disguise is he can use that draft now, try to get someone with a good run. They'll have to use the next lap to get that opportunity to happen.
But right now, in the real race, you don't necessarily want to run back in traffic. You don't want to run in the back of the field because you're more susceptible to crashes, you're more susceptible to things happening in front of you, and plus, you need that position. You need to slowly work that position up if you want to win the race. Right now, if I'm running in one of those drafts, I'm sitting at the back. I'm letting everybody drag me around the track because I can probably run a couple tenths faster working in that giant wind tunnel than I am if I'm leading it. So I have no problem letting people beside me. I have no problem letting them run on me, especially if it means I can go faster because of the work they're doing.
Yeah, and that's definitely a situation where, again, it's kind of a point where if everyone doesn't work together, then no one gets going. So it's kind of like the analogy of the slowest race where two drivers are going down trying to win the slowest, and you're pulling all the tricks. You got to be tricky and you got to be sneaky to make that happen, or else, at the very least, you get called out and caught out, you could easily be in trouble there. And you can see right now, it's about running, timing runs, and trying to make something happen. But now we're under 5 minutes to go in qualifying, and there's this risk right now, too, is let's think about this for logistics. A lap around here is about 45 seconds. Here's Blake Henderson, who's leading the train, or at least leading the current leader here, qualifying Denny in seconds. We did have a bit of a shift there. You can see this pack slowing to get times here. So Blake now top of the bar, and that just got broke by Christopher Pendell, who in that same pack, along with Dean Clavitt, both jumped to the top of the board as well. So now they're 1 and 2. You'll see it right there flash up the screen in the old Cherry Pepsi machine. But to finish my point, there's 45 seconds per lap here around this time. And the issue is the time runs down, you're only going to get less and less laps. So let's think about this logistically for a minute. About 45 seconds lap, we'll say 3-4 more laps to get an attempt at this. And if you make a mistake like Blake Henderson there, check that line, it's probably good as done. You'll have a chance to put down a good lap here. So as this pack crashes, times will get lost out.
The good news is, if you're on track and running an active lap, when time runs out, you will be able to finish that lap and have one more gasp at getting better position than where you were. The problem is making it happen. Who do you work with? What run line do you run in? And more importantly, how do you focus on your driving so that you don't make collision, invalidate your lap, or even worse, wreck your car before you get back to that start-finish line?
Yeah.
Christopher Pendell back on the pole right now, 44.94. Dean Clavitt turning in the second fastest time. There's both the drivers only turning in the first times under 45 seconds.
Yeah, it's a game of chicken. It's a game of table tennis. I'm trying to think of an analogy at the very least, but it's a point here where you got to get the runs. I don't know. Thinking of something where it's back and forth, but at the very least, though, it's about getting your runs and making it happen. As we hit 2:45 on the clock, another lap ticks by. We'll see if anyone jumps up. Worth noting, Pacey Wyden just jumped up the top 10 in that pack. So as these, again, laps tick down, drivers will pick up. And for some of the drivers that haven't put times down yet, obviously they prefer to start in the back. But we'll see Carmen Sienna right there in that 96 machine. She's currently the slowest of all active drivers right now. And obviously she's probably not too thrilled winning that out. But you'll have a chance here to get a good run. It's right there, the 71, almost merged up in the track to sharp. But right now, though, she'll have a chance.
It was one of the first ones to turn time. She was, big drama, big trouble for the 96.
And that is what I was kind of talking about. If the pack ends up getting broken up by any machine with 2 minutes to go, that is probably curtains, as it will take at least a minute to a minute and a half to get that pack fully speeded up again and regroup. So that is probably done. We'll see if anyone else is running right now. Obviously, Sienna quickly flying out right now. There's Pacey Wygen. He survived the carnage. He's on an island. There are a few cars up the road to him right now, but you can see everyone else just sitting. And now if you're Christopher Pendell, Dean Clavitt, Blake Henderson, who's actually on track, there's no real incentive to leave. Because you're here right now, you got your best time. What's the risk going out there in a minute 30 when it'll take at least a minute to get up to speed? So right now, you just hold what you have. You went all in at the poker table, and you're just hoping it was good enough.
At 44.9, it might be good enough. There's only a few cars left on the track. Blake Henderson just got a big hit from James Thompson, and that's going to end their qualifying run. Richard Odie able to escape it, and Odie will turn a time 46.447. Is it going to get any faster? Nope. Maybe about one and a half laps left for qualifying at this point. It's do or die time now.
But these drivers leaving the pits right now, you can see them going around. They're flying, but they'll get one lap. But right now, they're so spaced out, you have to get going, get on the throttle to try something, but you need to be in a big enough pack to really make something happen. 2 cars is not going to be good enough to jump those times, but maybe if you don't have a time, you can make something happen. You can see right there, the 78 going to link up at least with, I think that's Carmen Sienna, so at the very least, there could be a chance she could get something. Or, Hagen, sorry, thank you. It wasn't Carmen Sienna. Black and red can throw off, obviously, new paint schemes. We'll see if they can make something happen here, but this is going to be the last run for these drivers crossing the stripe right now, and they're just a bit too unorganized. I do not like the odds they can make something happen here, but I've been proven wrong before, and I'll be continuing to get proven wrong at the very least.
How does the line go? Never tell me the odds.
Mm-hmm.
Never tell me the odds when it comes to racing, because anything can happen at Daytona. Time running out. Everyone who's crossed the start-finish line will get one more shot at glory.
Smeel and Karma was the last two to cross the line here, but actually it looks... Yeah, never mind, it was the end, so we actually did not have that moment. That is it, and that is the end of qualifying.
So here's what happened at this point. With wherever you qualified. 22 drivers will take the call when we go to green flag racing in just a moment. We'll go through your starting lineup here in just a second. 30 minutes, a 50-lap feature to start this race. Then there will be we'll inverse the field, and there'll be a 30-lap shootout to finish it. So let me ask you this before we start going down the order, Kevin. If you're starting this race knowing that you have to inverse it later, where do you want to start?
That's a tough question. Obviously, if you told me when we get to the main race, the main Daytona, the main thing where all the points and the money on the line, I'd be starting in the back. I want to survive till the end. But since this is a charity race, since there's rewards at the point, you know what? I'll take the front. I'd rather be up front towards the front here at the very least, and I could have the logic. Let me run up front, get a prize, and then I can work my way up front. It's all about confidence, and if you can win a stage, you say, all right, I can win one, I can win another, I can get back towards the front.
Speaking of the front, as my phone goes off, let's go ahead and take you down tonight's qualifying lineup for the HTL Charity Shootout at Daytona International Speedway. Christopher Pendell will be on the point with during a qualifying time of 44.940 seconds. On the outside of him, the 90 of Dean Clavitt. 44.977. Row number 2 belongs to Blake Henderson in the 25 machine, whereas Alfred Denny on the outside. Callie Haight will start in position number 5. James Thompson, position number 6. Row number 7 belongs to Alyssa Petelier Sharp and John Hagen on the outside of that. Row 8 belongs to John Hagen, Jonathan Smeel, and rounding out your top 10 is Pacey Wygen.
So I guess moving down the grid here, we got Joshua Sosi, defending champion, and Austin Mongold in row number 6 here. Quite a strong line. Josh Gaiman back in action, and Jonathan Adams, 2 drivers that dominate the A2 Cup Series. They'll be in row number 7. Josh Arnold, who came so close last season, final 8, almost got in the final 4. Lily Frazier to his outside, and she was a good, strong driver in the Truck Series. Richard Ode and Carmen Sienna in the next row here. Ode, a Truck Series regular, and Carmen Sienna, obviously the chairwoman of ABN, where we're currently broadcasting. DJ Trout and Marcus Chapman next row. Trout, great road courses. Chapman trying to get a good run. And Gary Donaldson and Dino Vela will be the last row here, row 11, and that will be the 22-car field.
I believe that's Richard Odie you're talking about there.
For the correction, as someone that always messes up names, hey, it's better to learn it now during the test rather than when the main show he wins a prize or wins a race and I'm calling him by the wrong name. But this looks like it's going to be very exciting to see what this happens during the day here. So obviously qualifying being under the lights, the track being different conditions, that'd be a bit more grippy. These drivers have to make some slight adjustments to how they feel out there during the daytime.
It will be quite the transition as they go from day to night in this track, as they go from grippy to loose. 77 degrees temperature out here, zero humidity. Beautiful day here at Daytona International Speedway. And I'm excited to see what these guys can do. It's a 94, that Wild Cherry Pepsi machine of Chris Pendel. He's going to lead these 22 drivers out to start this race. As you mentioned, prizes for the drivers. One at pole, one at the 50 lap mark, and one for winning this race. So pride is on the line, most importantly. You want to have those bragging rights going into the season. But after that, you definitely want to take home the bounty that they're going to give you.
But there's a risk as well. If you win this race right now and you go cold, I've seen it in series before where a driver wins the main non-points paying race and then kind of start laying a dud throughout the season. So right now, Pendel has a prize, but he's not would trade that in for a win at the Great Show in 2 weeks' time. The pace you're going to pull on off.
First racing Ford Mustang goes down pit road, and now it's all in the hands of your leaders. Green flag flies, and we are racing here at Daytona International Speedway. 2 by 2, they go to turn number 1, and it will be Pendel Clavette leading the group down. We out of turn number 2 and in down the backstretch of 94, getting a shove from the 25 of Blake Henderson all over the rear bumper of that Wild Cherry Pepsi machine. And look who's moved up to position number 3. It's the 3 machine of Callie Haight. She's starting to just let these two guys work their issues out, letting them work through and get moving forward. Behind them, another cadre of drivers all looking to slowly move their way up the field. But so far, Kevin, nobody really making a big move just yet.
Well, you're saying that right now, but I see Pacey Wygen on the high line. He jumped out the inside line to go to the outside line with help there to try to get towards the front in that machine behind. And right now that outside line slowly starting to materialize a little bit. And think about the side draft as well, where it's going to be big here. So you can see drivers going low, going high, trying to get as close as they can to pull the car back and in turn propel themselves forward here. Kind of wish I had a webcam on because I was doing that with my hands at the very least. But look at that right there. Pendel trying to be aggressive to try to pull Wygen back, but nothing can stop that train. Wygen to the point, and it looks like we'll see if he goes low or high. But this lap is going to be his, and look at them being aggressively pushing on that low line. Henderson trying to give everything he can to Pendel, but not going to be enough. Lap 2 in the books, led by Wygen with Hagen in tow in second in line. Now the question is, when do these cars split down? Look at that already. Car moving in. Look at Carmen Sienna. Last of the qualifiers, already up to fourth right at the moment. Now fifth. She feels like she feels the best going towards the front and wants to be towards the front. She's not in the mind worrying about the invasion.
We were told the high line would be the preferred line today, that was the passing line. As you see now, the 90 machine that belongs to Dean Clavette go down with the 29. They're going to try to make a run of their own, but so far the high line seems to be the place to be. It also helps if you have quite a few trains on the track with you, pushing those engines forward. And I think right now, as you see some shenanigans up in the top of the front of the field there, I think these guys are still shaking the machines down. They're trying to feel each other out, and they're trying to figure out, okay, where are you going to go, and how do I need to react if I want to run this race?
Tried to pull himself in front of the line there. Wygen tried to clear himself, almost got turned by Clavette. He saved it. Got to give the hat tip to that one at the very least. Obviously, Clavette may not be hat tipping that he almost killed the field. But at the very least, though, they keep it straight and point in the right direction. We stay clean, we stay green, and that's going to keep Hagen on the outside line. Team boss pushing team driver on the outside line at the very least. But now that may be the shakeup that at the very least tells the field, hey, calm down. It's lap 4 out of 50. You have faster pairs, but this is supposed to be the cream of the excellence. Let's not try to junk some cars here just because we can.
Again, I don't think that's the first thing they're thinking about. They're thinking about running for pride. They're thinking about running to show off what they got. It's a first chance to show what they have on TV. They're going to go for it all the way. But it is a very important reminder. You don't win the race on lap number 4. You win it on lap number 70. And these guys now doing a great job. 2 lines all the way through. John Hagen continuing to lead. But can that top line hold on? And can he withstand the beating that Sienna's giving him?
Yeah, right there. That's going to be the haves and have-nots. You'll see the experience and not the experience. Drivers that know how to hold it, know how to play race, they'll know how to experience it. We ride on board with the 96 of Carmen Sienna to give us a good shot at what she sees at the very least. There's a side angle, but this is a good time we see who can do it, who cannot stand the pressure. And if you can't stand the pressure, get out of the kitchen. The drivers behind you will say, go to the back and learn how to handle it before you end up challenging here. But right now you see a bit of a split right there. 3 cars went down, 1 on the outside. The 2 of Arnold couldn't follow suit there and is going to get split by Thompson, who will take the low side at the very least. And again, it's a dog-eat-dog world here. If you don't take the run, you don't take the opportunity, you're going to get left in the dust.
Joshua Arnold just got left hung to dry out there, as now the new one going to jump up to the high side is Blake Henderson. He's got a little bit of help from Dean Clavette. He's got some help from Christopher Pendel and a whole other line of drivers behind him. We know that high line is fast, but do they have enough to catch up to the 44 and that 96? I think they will. It's just a matter of how many cars are going to jump up and give them that hand.
Yeah, we'll have to see on that point here. And again, maybe a bit of positive at the very least, because obviously, let's talk about this for a second. There is a mandatory 4-tire pit stop these drivers have to do, and also the fuel tanks are a little bit slower than they are before. 65% of what a normal fuel would be, so these cars may be a bit lighter than they would be at the real time in a couple of weeks' time, but also, at the very least, they know there's a 4-tire pit stop, so you got to make sure you keep that in mind.
25 now going down that little chili dog hole. He got split between those 2 cars, so the 25 of Blake Henderson will drop from the front of the field to about 8th position, gets caught by the 22 of Gary Donaldson out there, trying to give him a little charity as well. Back up front, we almost had a new leader in Carmen Sienna. The 44 says, no thank you, I'm going to keep blocking you, and I'm going to continue to lead some laps.
Again, team boss and team driver ahead. Obviously, Hagen driving came in for a good role to fill in for, obviously, Arrowhead Racing had some openings. John Hagen took one of those seats thanks to Carmen filling it in for her, because obviously saw performances in other series, and Hagen definitely stood to the line. Right now, there's going back here. And what we saw opening this race, the front 2, the front row, now 1-2 again, maybe a bit inverted. Clavette leading the lane with Pendel pushing, but look at the 2 again. Couldn't get low. Hagen going to close the gap, and now Arnold is going to have to lead the train with Wyjet on the high side. This is going to be Clavette's led. Look at Pendel. He just got sucker hold. He was not quick enough to make a move. Look at that shunt that the 2 just gave to 90.
The 00, the 2, both get in the walls, and 94 gets sucked down the black hole, got hung to dry out in the middle, and with a side draft from either side, no love for them. The 90 and 44 now doing business. The 90 giving the shove to the 44 machine, telling him, go away, get somewhere else.
Winning. And that's Pendel that spun. No yellow yet. Looks like he had a little bit of a spin there. Got hooked. And we'll see if anything gets called here. Looks like we'll stay green, so no caution will be called. But back up towards the front, I think the 90 at Clavette just got soccer hold. And we're going to see right there. You can see right in the middle. And that's something I've watched is Sienna is going to try to lead to the point, and it's going to be Arrowhead 1-2 on the inside-outside lane. We'll see which Arrowhead driver gets the lap led. It's going to be Hagen. But that's something I've kind of watched throughout these years, watching series and other drivers here. Hagen is a very aggressive driver that's willing to take any lane, any chance. And he's almost kind of the mentality of, look, I'm winning the race, or I'm giving you back a steering wheel.
Take a quick look back real quick at what happened to Pendel back there. That did not bring out the first caution, but was our first incident of the race. As we watch now alongside, keeping an eye on that, it looks like Pendel just got a little bit of help going around from, I believe, that is going to be the 20 car or something along those lines.
I think it was the 20. It was definitely one of those blacked out schemes, the very least testing schemes. Obviously, it'll be a bit easier to tell in a couple weeks' time when everyone's got the new paint schemes and fresh numbers. But at the very least, one of the testing scheme parades ended up getting a little hooked. And now Pendel, obviously, again, will get bailed out by the stage break if you don't get a caution first. But at least, at the very least, he's got the pole prize. So we're going to check here right now on the POV. One of the cars a little bit further back here. That's the 71 of Philip Peltier. 78 of Richard. Going to see his line here again. He's just playing it back here, playing conservative. Someone has done that throughout places. Seen that at the truck races. He just kind of beats conservative here. He knows he may not be the fastest driver out there. I don't think he would be taking complaint that I'm saying that, but he knows if you're not going to be the quickest, you got to use strategy at the very least. It's like in sport where height matters. Sometimes you got to be tricky. You can't make it happen. You can see right now lines getting formed on the inside and outside as runs are beginning the Montiel box.
Kevin, as you know, and I both know the adage. In order to finish first you must finish. And I think that is exactly what Odie's doing right here. You see him lifting their turns. We got trouble.
Klavic has gotten the wall, and
Big trouble. Big trouble.
Turn. I think this could be a caution. Wygen sideways, right into the 8 of the Sonic machine. Still green, by the way. No caution called yet, and we are still green, and caution now is called.
Race officials will throw the caution since the flagman certainly didn't do it, and it looks like it's going to start around the 0-0 of Wygen. No, it's going to start actually in front of him. The 90 and 25 start this and just create an accordion effect down the field, but the 0-0 and the 8 of the 90 all getting heavy damage from this.
Yeah, I was going to take a look at the replay right here, but it's going to start with Dean Klavic. You can see right there a little bit of the tail end of the piece here. He's a little bit further up the pack here, following Blake Henderson. Looks like we'll get a little bit of a perspective here as we are still now a little bit further back here. So we're going to build up to turn 1. Coming to the lap before the caution, you can see right there drivers making aggressive moves. And if it's going to be Henderson around his base, we'll have to keep an eye on him, but we'll just see what happens on this high line.
As you see what happens on that high line there, it is going to be the 90 getting into the wall. The 25 gets out of the way, and that wall glue just grabs the 90. The 0-0 literally has nowhere to go, and he's got a pinball on the 22, on the 8. And that on 4 drivers will be getting some serious damage as a result of that. It's not going to take them out of the race, but it may force them to burn their one and only quick repair.
Yeah, and that's the thing worth noting at the very least. At that point, Kelly Height, obviously, it was a checkup on the high line. We'll take another look here. Keep an eye when you see the line. The 0-0 tried to go low to avoid it, and the checkup comes up just enough that he ended up getting the shunt. So there's a little bit of the wall tap there, and looks like we're back to live action out here for a second. We'll see if we get another check at that. You can see that left side, though, already a little bit torn up. Right where the ribbon is, you can see a little bit of damage. So we'll trying to get a replay here, but I'll finish my point here at the very least. It just a shunt, the accordion effect. He tried to go low to avoid it, and Callie Height was thinking the same thing, and the speed checkup caused a bump that ended up sending the 0-0 sideways. So here's the replay again. A little up the road here, you can just see 90 taps the wall, 25 avoids it, taps the wall again, the 2 goes low. We'll slow it down for you, and you'll see the 0-0 trying to go low and gets a big old shunt from that 114 machine at Callie Height, and then that causes the 0-0 to go low into the 20, and that causes the ping pong effect that we saw.
Problems on pit road as Jonathan Smeal and the 14 of Hagen make contact going into their pit stalls. More drama as the 0-0 now makes contact with the 71 on pit road. A lot of guys missing their boxes as a result of some shenanigans on pit road, and this is going to shake up the entire complexion of the race. Coming off pit road, Joshua Gaiman comes out first, Carmen Sienna second, James Thompson third, Alfred Denny fourth, and Lily Frazier rounding out your top 5.
Yeah, you gotta be risky. We'll take a look at the replay here. And again, it's best to do this now during a charity race, but you see that effect right there. And other drivers maybe a little further back, not knowing where the boxes are. This is, again, obviously, your pit raid banner is obviously what you choose and everything there. Oh, Wygen just stopped. Yeah. The 71 just did not see it or did not understand it.
A 0-0 just blatantly missed the box, didn't know what to do, froze up, and the 71 going to his box. Just ran him straight over. Didn't know what the 0-0 was doing. Miscommunication there, but I got a feeling that miscommunication is going to get paid back later. 71 aiming straight for his box, knows where it's at, did not anticipate the 0-0 stopping, and that is going to create some damage.
One more thing worth noting as well, I saw the 81 cut through like 3-4 boxes, which I think is a bit of a no-no when it comes to this series. You can't go 3, 4, 5 boxes in to try to make your spot. So obviously, it's not the main race here, but obviously this point as, but the 0-0 should have just, even though it sucks, if you're in the middle of it, you can't just stop. You have to just keep going, come back around next lap, and pit. It kind of stinks, but stopping on the pit lane is a big no-no offense that's going to wreck your car and in turn also give the 71 a lot of damage.
So now that the pit stops have cycled through, they've all taken their 4-tire pits, their obligated 4-tire pit stop, and as it's cycled through now, John Hagen will continue to be your leader. Joshua Gaiman in second, James Thompson third, Carmen Sienna in fourth, and Alfred Denny rounding out your top 5. Lily Frazier, Blake Henderson, Callie Haight, Josh Arnold, and Richard Odie in your top 10. A bit of a shakeup in the top 10, but I don't think anybody is surprised after what we saw happen on pit road.
Yeah, at the very least, obviously some drivers got stopped, some drivers had to get going there, and it caused a bit of a checkup that affected some drivers. We'll take a quick look at the wind and weather here right now, noting of that. Look at that northeast wind there. That is definitely going to upset these cars at least a little bit, and it's also getting a bit more cloudy. That Florida sun is beginning to drift away into the clouds, and we're getting a bit more cloud coverage that definitely could affect the track conditions. At the very least, though, no humidity in the air. So at least if we were there in real life, it would be at least a little bit more bearable. Let's take a quick also look at the race summary. Lap 14 of 50, 26 laps to go. 1 caution was obviously called for 1 caution lap and 6 lead changes so far in this race.
Very eventful race in probably possibly the best way, as we saw a lot of lead changes, a lot of clean driving. But as we saw also, one mistake. It's all it takes. One mistake towards the top of the field in order to create an accordion effect throughout, a ripple effect throughout, and that will bring can bring some major damage to cars out there. Now that being said, all the cars are still running. Everybody still has a shot. And even though we've still seen a couple of those fast repairs get used, there's still a possibility. There's still a possibility of anybody winning this race.
Well, we do have 1 car behind the wall. Dino Vela, I guess, did not take the flag. We have 21 cars. Yeah, never took the flag. So out of the 21 cars that take the flag, out of 22 cars that did attempt to qualify, they're all still running. So at the very least, though, that's great to see, and obviously hope we keep it clean to the end. At least into the end of the stage, and into the end of the race would be cool as well. So obviously we're going to go green this time by. We're going to get ready for the flag as the pace car is going to pull on off.
Pace car will make the hard left turn down pit road, and we are back under control of John Hagen. Green flag flies. Hagen gets a great run. Carmen Sienna, the boss lady, she's going to get a run with him as well. Bottom line, did not get the same start, as it looks like they made a little bit of collision down there, maybe some spun tires as they go into turns 1 and 2.
Obviously, cold tires can play a little bit of effect here, but the boss lady, or maybe Shasha Banks, if we want to say, didn't shock that she was driving one of these cars. Yeah, at the very least, she's got a lady that has a lot of different hats in this company. But right now, she's the lady of Arrowhead, and she's screwed on that outside line, trying to push teammate 14, or now just the 44, as the car says, to the front. But look at that inside line, trying to also go as well. This is, again, the aggressive. We're not even halfway yet in this stage, so a long way to go. And obviously, with lower fuel loads, there's a chance we may see at least one more pit stop if we get a caution or green flag. And honestly, I'm a person that personally was in the ideology that we should have did the green flag, mandatory green flag for tire pit stops, but I'm also an agent of chaos when it comes to that.
Well, it's a good thing we're not in race control then, isn't it? Let's take a look at the 20 car coming out of turn number 4. Quickly on the 20 of Jonathan Adams, all over the road, as one of my old friends would say. Having some trouble controlling that Mobil 1 Camry, going back and forth, a little bit of speed wobble, but able to catch it, get it back under rain, and back going the right way. And I think that's just kind of a challenge of some of those colder tires out there. Not as grippy just yet, and as a result, can get sliding around, as we see some drivers sliding around up front.
And that's worth noting. The cars, obviously, with under-fueled can be a bit trouble-spun. With obviously lighter fuel loads can make the cars a bit more grippy, a bit more turny, and get the cars a little bit more upsetty because of those points as well. So it's definitely at least keeping an eye on drivers, again, where experience comes in, knowing lower fuel loads. And if you don't run a lot of plate racing, or restricted plates, or whatever you want to call it, fake super speedway racing, a lot of different titles for this type of racing. But at the very least, though, you got to make sure you keep the car landing. Look at that 96 getting sliced up as well there, holding left to right. But yeah, drivers, you can see a second pack, they're getting to drift off a little bit here, and I think maybe the drivers that burned a fast pair are saying, all right, not risking it, because if you take a wreck now, you get a fast pair the next stage, but you will take laps away if you get major damage. So right now, though, it's better to survive and regroup at the 20-lap feature down the road here.
Everybody practicing caution right now. Everybody running in line, and you don't see really a whole lot of challenges right now for position. I think that first incident was enough to scare them, and now they're going to simply run in line with one another, run smoothly with one another, and see what they need to do. It's at this point, I think they're doing a little bit of reverse math in their heads, as now the 90 gets bold and is going to try the middle lane with the 93 and the 94. 78 gets hung out to dry, and we got a race in our hands.
Yeah, and there's one more thing worth noticing. You can see right there, Richard Odie fell out a little bit back there. It's going to drift a little bit back. You can see right there the Cali Height going to get on the outside line. They're going to fall back here. No one really to help there. Almost a touch there. They're going to get hooked hard into the wall. 2, 3, 4 cars involved. The 2 was involved. The 3, and I can't tell who that far car on the high side is right now, but that is 3 cars involved. It's the 21 of Alfred Denny that was involved.
The 93, the 3 of Cali Height. And the DJ Trout also involved in that incident. 4 cars, it sounds like, all getting involved there, and it just shows the fragility of these cars, especially as they come off turn number 4, a known trouble spot for all of this. Let's take you back to the replay and show you where it all began.
So we'll keep an eye on that 3 or that 1-1-3 machine right there in the sucker hole on the high side right now. Middle lane, get it in the push here, and we'll see who comes up, comes down here. And, oh, yeah, that's the middle car on the line, kind of pinched Callie, and that sent both of them with the speed wobbles right into Pendel. And at that point, it becomes a track blocker. And you look at the 2 there, going to hit that wall a ton on that outside wall. Luckily, Odie... Because of Odie, we saw, I was bringing that up, worth noting, we saw Odie kind of drift back there a little bit, and it was actually a blessing in disguise because it allowed him the ability to avoid this quite easily, because if he was where he was at the time that incident occurred, we may be looking at a torn up 78 instead.
Right on board with him and get his perspective through this entire race. And sometimes, again, going backwards is not a bad position. Follow along here in the 78 as we go down the backstretch through turns 3 and 4. You see him right there being passed by 2, 3, 4 cars on his left side. Now watch as he loses that pace, loses a little bit of that draft, and starts seeing everything happen in front of him. Anticipating the wreck, he will hit the brakes, start going low, and avoids everything without a scratch on him. Great driving by Odie, and a little bit of serendipity on his side.
Yeah, sometimes you need a little bit of luck in this plate racing at the very least. So we'll take a look here again. Speaking of Odie, he looks like he missed his pit box though. So his luck avoided the wreck, but he couldn't get it twice there to avoid the incident. But worth noting, some cars came in, some cars stayed out. Obviously, some involved the incident, but Jonathan Adams, John Smeal, Dean Clavitt, not involved in the incident, all pitting. But it looks like with their actually short pit stops, some of them like to take 4 tires, but Smeal, Adams, and Mongold electing to fuel only their machines. So again, differing strategies for different drivers, but looking at the pit lane right now, you can see the drivers that did not have fast perf looking for long repair times right there, or missed their box and having long times on pit lane.
Meanwhile, up front, a lot of drivers electing to stay out. The Arrowhead teammates, John Hagan, Carmen, Sienna, will stay out. Joshua Gaiman will stay out in position number 3. Lily Frazier, the 11, stays out as well. Lots of drivers, all the drivers who came down last time are not necessarily going to come down this time, and they're going to take the chance. They're going to take position, especially as we count closer and closer to lap number 50. Almost halfway through this first group right now. So far, we've seen a very thrilling race on many levels, and a lot of guys and gals out there doing everything they can to keep the car running the right direction.
Yeah, that's sometimes all it takes. You told it earlier in the broadcast, Joe, where sometimes to win a race, you just got to finish and keeping the car going in the right direction, keeping it clean, keeping yourself in contention. And sometimes all it takes to end up lifting a trophy at the very least. Obviously, it wouldn't be the real life trophy, but it'd be a trophy named something, lifting it up at the very least. Obviously, not the Harley J. Earl trophy, because that's real life. But anyway, we'll get ready here. We're going to get probably the one to go this time by field, getting already bunched up here. You can see right there, the digger camera just got ran over there. A few more cars electing to come on into the pit lane here, top off. And it makes me think, at the very least, that these cars here, the top 6, obviously not going to make it to the end. They'll have to make another pit stop. And there's that concern, at the very least. Obviously, we don't 100% know the fuel number here, the fuel economy these drivers can get. Obviously, with the shorter fuel tanks, it makes it a bit of a harder number to calculate. But there's worth noting, if we go green the rest of the way, are these drivers coming in a second time here just to top off? Maybe they have enough, maybe they don't. We saw a run go about 13 laps on a fuel tank. We assume 22 plus 13 gets us to 33. If we assume we get another 10 laps on that, you're looking at 40s, maybe it's a hittable number. Because right now, at the very least, I don't think you come in just to top off if you think you can make it to the finish.
First off, don't diss a trophy. A trophy is a trophy is a trophy. It's more than I have on my shelf. Let's put it that way, Kevin.
Yeah, at the very least, I just didn't know what we called it. I was trying to come up with a name for it. I'm like, name.
It's
like
the trophy.
Trophy. That's a trophy.
It's the trophy. Yeah. Take the trophy and run with
it. Trophy, TM, patent pending. But anyway.
Second point to that, as the 44 now goes way off the track there. Looks like maybe trying to save a little bit of fuel there, or just not paying attention. Not sure which. In any event, cautions breed cautions breed cautions. So I've got a feeling a lot of these guys who stayed out, a lot of these girls who stayed out, they're going to be waiting for another caution to come out before they come back in and top off.
One more thing worth noting about Joshua Sossi now just leaving the pit lane right now. He is not going to get caught up to this pack. Possibly. It's going to be a long send here. We'll see if he can get caught back up. Only two out of the 22 cars running. Well, 22 cars that didn't take the flag. 21 cars took the flag. 19 are on the lead lap. Actually, 18. 19. 20 Sossi's, 1 down. Chavez is 2 down in the night machine. And Dino obviously didn't take the flag. So right now, there's that risk. We need more cautions if those drivers want to get back on the lead lap.
So John Hagan once again in control of this field. The first racing Ford Mustang pace car will take the hard left turn down pit road, and the Arrowhead teammates once again leading the way back to the green flag. Green flag flies to the Geico restart zone, and John Hagan hits the loud pedal. He's going to get a big jump on the rest of the field. Carmen Sienna tails along, getting a shove from the 11th of Willie Frazier.
Yep, the loud pedal is definitely a new phrase and I have not heard before, but it's quite a fitting phrase. As you can see right there, they're going to try to quickly get low. They will. You'll see in this nice shot here, single file on the inside line. But who is going to be the brave soul that's going to say, all right, I want to make that outside line be the lane I want to go in. And right now, though, a lot of cars taking that low side. You see one Trailblazer on the high side. I think that's the 71, trying to break the trend. Now one car going to break to the high side. We'll see if any more file in tow, try to make something happen.
Alfred Denny is a driver trying it on the outside. Nobody goes with him, so everyone back down to single file. Now, a new contender up there. It's a 21 machine, taking the 27 of James Thompson, going to get around his teammate, the 33 of Joshua Gaiman. 29 now coming on along to help. So Alfred Denny had a friend, past tense, as the 27 car decided to get back in line.
Yeah, and right now at the very least, let's keep an eye on that front four here at the very least right now. You can see obviously Gaiman going to jump to the high side here. I was just about to say, Hagan, Sienna were teammates, and obviously the car behind was teammates as well. And obviously Sienna, team player, team boss, but wants to win herself. She's not looking, she'll play team, she'll play friendly, she'll play nice. And obviously Gaiman being a former driver for Arrowhead, but you can see right now, he'll have to hold that thought. Big block to by Hagan, old ride, blocking the new ride, I should say, at the very least. And now Gaiman going to go low here, and Hagan, obviously no help anywhere, and he'll have to jump to the back line here. Wydget looking to give him some assistance.
Gaiman and Thompson have done something incredible. They've worked together to split up the Arrowhead teammates, and now they are in charge of the race. In front of DJ Trout in the 93, in front of Alfred Denny in the 29, and now Carmen Sienna has to back up to get back to her teammate, the 44 or 14 of John Hagan. Everything is messed up now as you see team dynamics come into play. This is what we were talking about earlier. You need to know who your friends are, where the friends are driving at, in order to slowly work your way up through this field and know that you have someone to trust you to give you that big shove to move forward.
Yeah, at the very least. And obviously these drivers are in their own little team chats here, so obviously you can communicate with your teammates. But if you're not in a team chat with the driver at the very least, like Gaiman, for instance, with Sienna, the only way you can communicate is over the chat that everyone can hear. Obviously there's private chats as well, text, but for main communication during live action, your only option is to communicate it to everyone else. And that's where you can get a bit of trouble. If you try to talk a little bit of strategy, you're kind of screwed when it comes to that point, because everyone will know what your hand is. But now we just hit halfway at the stage. We're at 25 to go to the run here. And the question is, again, we already seen aggression. It's not like it's changed down, but how more aggressive can it get here? I feel like we're definitely on pace to see a third lane being formed here before this stage ends up concluding.
We're not going to see a third lane. We're going to see big more accidents. 4 or 5 cars involved in that one. The front group definitely hit hard by that one. Gaiman able to avoid it, and he will inherit the lead. But 6, 7 cars, you said it right there. The commentator's curse comes back. We're seeing a lot of aggression, and that was aggressive driving at its finest.
I'm going to have to put another one in the piggy bank there for the commentator's curse soon enough. I could probably buy a real-life race car if I keep doing that. But it's just worth noting that it's just the big one kind of formed there. So we'll take a look here exactly what happened. We'll watch towards the front here. Keeping an eye on the front here. Selena and Joshua Gaiman pushing here. Obviously, Selena going to get a good run here, but obviously the problem's going to be just a little bit back there. You can see Sienna pushing the 93, and I think you're going to see the problem child happen right there. Coming off of 4, you can see just a bad bump off the corner there. Sends the 93 sideways right into Selena Thompson, hooks her up the racing surface, and at that point, it was not what the pack wanted to see, as it just became a track blocker. Sienna, nowhere to go, ending on the outside line, just praying they can find a way around. Look at Hagan trying to split the C's, and almost, I think, does it. He does, pushing another car out of the way. Blake Henderson.
So at least 6 drivers involved in that accident, all starting around the 96 of Carmen Sienna. You mentioned it earlier. She's a very aggressive driver. She wants to win this race. And when I talked to her before the race started, she's told me one thing: either I'm going to win or I'm going to be fabulous. She was both there for a short amount of time, but that bump may have cost her the chance at being one of those things.
Yeah. Odie having the luck of the Irish, or luck of the whatever you want to say. Maybe could go play at the roulette table after this. But watch on board here. He's going to probably avoid another big clump of smoke. Doesn't not even lift. Keeps the foot down. Cuts through the grass a little bit. And almost gets cut off by Clavitt. And also Henderson almost took him out in the rear mirror there. But luckily, no mistakes. And Odie keeps a clean car. And again, without survival, Odie's making sure he keeps that car clean to the finish.
No incidents on pit road this time by. Gaiman will come off first, Lee Frazier second, Pacey Wygant third, Alfred Denny fourth, and John Hagan top 5 coming off pit road. 2 drivers decided to stay out, the 8 of Marcus Chafin and the 27 machine.
Yeah, they stayed out here, and I believe I'll check my numbers here. I think they were the cars that they came in at 27. I think they missed their box, I want to say. So at the very least, they came in actually fuel only. Thompson missed her box. Thompson definitely missed her box. She came in and missed or something. She came in at 27. And Selena took a fuel only. I think she missed her box too. Irregardless, both of them will take the front 2.
So right now, as it stands, at 33 of Gaiman, position number 1, or we'll have to wait till it cycles out before we get the full official results back, but lots of entertaining team driving happening, and as we've said earlier, bro, cautions breed cautions. That third caution was
Selena Thompson just stopped on the wall. Sorry to cut you off. She just hung on the wall there. I guess she has to drop to the back here. Just caught me off guard because I was looking at the screen there, and she just stopped on the high line, and everyone was zooming by, but looks like she's got it going. Sorry to cut you off there, Joe, but just caught me off guard.
No, that is definitely something to keep in mind, because that will create some very big team dynamics, especially around the 33 of Gaiman. The 33 now not having his partner in crime up there, that is going to definitely hurt him and hurt his chances of moving forward in order to try to reclaim this lead.
Yeah, you can see right there, I think she had let some cars go, so a bit of a false positive, but saw it pop up in my little box there, and I was like, that is odd for a car to be stopped there, but luckily, it doesn't look like it's anything terminal. She was just letting cars go, and now it looks like she's coming in the pit lane, so obviously coming now in for service. But now with everyone coming in the pit, I think we are good to go on stops. We obviously know you can make about 13 laps caution-free. I think 20 is not without the range. We're about to hit 21 to go when we take the green here, so fuel should be good. There's the 8, also getting the lap back here, so we're now 1 down. So, again, with the stage break coming in about 22 laps, obviously we don't get into the caution beforehand, Chaffin at least looking poised to get 1 lap back, because he's now the only car 1 down. So as long as he can keep it clean, he'll make it happen. So we're going to take a look here at something with Wygant.
No, go ahead. Let's take a look through with Wygant's point of view for this last wreck.
So we'll see here. Obviously, we're hearing on the earpieces. Maybe it's something about avoidance. Obviously, we're still trying to pull it up here, so apologies for the flashing. So here we go here. Keep an eye on that hot pink 00, and we'll see what happens here. Riding on board now with the pink 00. Obviously, the wreck is going to be on the front stretch here. Oh, okay, we're fasting up now. And going through the hyper tube, and right there on the brakes, cleaned it out. No mistakes, no scratches.
10 out of 10. Great save on that car. No notes. Very, very well done. And that's how you avoid picking up, having to use your quick repair so early in the race.
Too, because we saw him tear up that car in that one incident previously, so he ended up getting torn up there. That could have been probably curtains for the 00. So thankfully, he keeps it clean. Now has a chance to go win that stage, and good power there. God power, good call out there to check that perspective. But we're going green now, and now the question is, again, drivers don't learn something, they're doomed to repeat it, but obviously drivers can be ignorant when it comes to wanting to win, no matter what the odds and numbers say. So we'll see what happens with coming to 21 to go. Now these drivers end up taking the challenge.
Pace car will make the hard left turn one more time, this time around, and Gaiman will be in charge of the field as they run through the Geico restart zone. Green flag in the air, and we are back to racing. Gaiman does not get a good start. He gets run over immediately by Wygant and Wygant and Hagan. Both those cars beating on the back bumper of that 33 machine, opening the door for the top end to start making a move.
That's the problem. You spin the tires and put you in a bad spot here, and that's when you have to rely. And again, team cats and all that can help out. You can say 3, 2, 1, go, and all go at once to make something happen. Why'd you going to try to jump the high side game? And not going to end up trying to block that because you don't end up hooking yourself into the fence. Hagen give a big old shove to Josh Gaiman. Now Why'd you going to try to lead that outside line there with Frazier in tow. So we'll see how it all plays. But outside line got the opportunity to clear here. At least Wygent does. Question is, will any of them take it or will they hang high? They're thinking about it. They're fluffing a little bit, and they will stay on the high side. They'll stay loyal to each other, at least for now. But the question is, how long will loyalty last?
But loyalty is not going to go very far when push comes to shove. Let's follow along also with the 3 of Callie Height. I keep mispronouncing your name. I apologize. Callie Height is now making a big move through the middle. She's found somewhere to go and is leaving those three cars stuck on the top. The 20, the 4, and I believe that is the 8 machine? No, that is another machine. But either way, she's found some speed in that car, and she is not going to settle for being in the back of the field any longer.
You got to be careful, though, because remember, she's on probation for instance included last season, so she's obviously got to be a bit cautious. She's obviously a driver in the similar vein of Hagen, from the same cloth. Obviously very aggressive, wanting to win when they can win, take the runs. So obviously she's got to be a little bit cautious, but at the same point, if you can win right now, some people may be counting her out, saying, oh, she's kind of good, but I don't think she got a chance to win anything. If she can get the win here, even if it's not points paying finish, even if it's a stage, she got to say, all right, tell the doubters to shove it and make it work. Right now, in the inside line, outside line got no momentum. Wygent's train not really getting going anywhere. Question is, which of those top 4 cars there will make the jump to the high line? If I had to take a guess, I'm thinking Josh Wisozi, who just got back on the lead lap due to the last wreck, and now taking that second chance, the defending champion, to try to make something happen here. Wouldn't be shocked if he jumps high here in just a second.
We talked a lot about team dynamics, and you're seeing them come to fruition here as 2 Lady Liberty Motorsports drivers lead this field. Alfred Denny, the first time he's been out front today. Callie Height is also up there and helping her teammate get in front of the field. Low line starting to be the place to go, as it looks like the 00 machine of Hazy Wygent is acting like a big anchor on that high side. Not sure if the 00 is purposefully holding back the 11 and company, but that 00 is doing some interesting strategy, to say the least.
I wouldn't say that per se. I kind of saw what happened there. The 92 of car in question, obviously different number here. It looks like it was Austin Mongol. Kind of got a little checked out there, and that caused a bit of an accordion effect that lost the outside lane its momentum. Now that they got it refired up, you can see the check. So I think it was just kind of a bad lie there where they kind of hurt each other at the very least. But now they've gotten it straightened out. They're making it work here, and we'll see what happens here. Obviously, it's still lap led by Alfred Denny, which more importantly should note, he was one of the drivers that we were talking qualifying that obviously had the slowest practice time. But first time he's been up front almost all day, and first time we've really been talking about him. We like to keep it that way. We keep talking about him. But Wygent looking to steal that thunder, steal that limelight, as he's going to try to take that high side and get around Alfred Denny.
So Wygent getting a big shove from the 11, and the 20 also jumping along as well. The 40 team also coming along for the ride, and the high side once again is the place to be.
Yeah. Odie again, maybe being smart here. He bailed out 2 times already. Third time he's done it. He almost cut through the bus stop. And look at that outside line. Sienna pushing the ever-loving you-know-what out of Henderson and almost giving the old 1-2 hook for it. So Odie maybe having a sixth sense here, knowing how to try to avoid it. You see a car escaping pit lane here. DJ Trout now going to go 1 down at the very least on the same lap as Marcus Chaffman. So they will both be racing here to try to get the lap back. Right now, I think if you're Trout, you're going to need a caution to get back in this race. Obviously, the 8 is in this pack, fighting hard in that Sonic machine.
The both lines dancing around, doing a little, not quite pirouettes just yet, but it could turn into that at any second as the 11 of Lily Frazier now makes the jump, abandoning the 00 on the high side. Frazier will lead Denny and Height all the way down, and we have a new leader at the start-finish line. It's the 11 of Lily Frazier.
Yep, she was definitely a strong truck driver last season, got a couple podiums. think she ended up getting a win in the race I ended up commentating on, but she was definitely a good top 10 truck week in and week out. A little bit of a consistent driver, if you will. Maybe in a bit of lurking, maybe a nod to Tom Sears. But at the very least, Lily Frazier, Lily Frazier, made my mistake there. Right now, currently leading the train with Denny in push. And now we'll see what happens here. Outside line going to have to get recharged up here. And it looks like the 20 machine of Adams, Jonathan Adams, is ready to take that charge, run that mantle. About 15 laps later, we saw him get a little bit squirrely and now push towards the front. John Hagan also ready to take that challenge. But right now, they're going to get in. Look at Sienna tap the wall there. Big puff of smoke, and that's going to cause Mongol to get in the back. And Mongol clips the wall. They keep it straight, but that's going to cause a lot of time loss. And the problem is Mongol may have just lost the draft because of it.
Meanwhile, up front, there are some additional shenanigans going on. Down low, 3 drivers from Lady Liberty, Alfred Denny, Callie Hike, and I believe that's the 81 of Josh Susie, all going to continue to run, basically forming a wall around the other drivers around him. It's not going to be enough, though, as you have a new leader emerging up there. That's going to be the 13 of Jonathan Spiel.
Again, this is where teammates can happen. Almost a bump that sent him to the Shadow Realm, and almost another bad bump.
There it is.
Call of action, 71 of Frazier. Chapman was involved, and that's going to hurt Chapman's lucky dog chances right there. And also, that thing is torn up. It's not Chapman, it's Chaffin. That's not Charlie Chaplin, it's Chaffin. But regardless, torn up there on the front end of the Sonic machine. Definitely not what he wanted to seal. Smeal, though, will keep the lead, and he is looking in his mirror thinking, that could have been me, but at the very least, it's not me. So we'll take a look at the replay. Already you can see that bad bump that almost killed the field.
The 71 ends up getting a hard hit from the 22, and that starts the chain reaction. The 71 of Batelier Sharp just has nowhere to go, trying to correct it, overcorrects it, gets into, I believe, that's the 36 machine of Vela? No, check that.
That's the 8.
That's the 8 machine.
That's Chaffman, who's one down trying to keep the lucky dog, and now he's out of that contention. So DJ Trout going to get the lucky dog because of this, but Chaffman got a lot of damage. You can see that front clip all torn off. And we'll take another look here, and you'll see, again, it's going to be the accordion effect. We talked about how one incident can chain react the rest of the field. Keep an eye on those front two, the 20 and the 13. You're going to see right there, almost try to circle it there. You can see at the very least, bad bump, checks him up, calls the 20. Hagen to check up into Wygen to check up into Sharp, and Sharp obviously goes a little too slow, gets bumped from the back, and that caused that effect. So just everyone stopping on the highway there caused an incident. And if you want to see that in real life, stop on the highway. Don't really do that because that's actually very dangerous. But the point is that's what caused that effect.
And the car that I was looking for was the 33 of Gaiman. Gaiman got a little piece of the 71 when the 71 had that big wiggle. So not a ton of damage for the 33 machine, but maybe enough. We'll have to see how much that affects him when we go back to green flag racing.
First question, if he has fast spare second, if he can fix it, and that's what I was talking about in the pre-race here. It looks like he does have a fast spare, so he is going to use it, but I will finish that point. On that point, you can see Austin Mongol misses pits. But to get my point back, though, that's the thing I was talking about in the pre-race. If it ended up damaging the engine, that could be as good as toast for the 61. Obviously, fast repair, we'll just say if he didn't have it for this analogy. If it damaged the front end, damaged the aero, that could mean he can never really be a leader again in front of a train. And some drivers, they're better leaders. Some drivers are better pushers, and that's the effect you have. If a pusher has a caved-in front nose, it's not the end of the world. If a lead car that knows how to lead lanes and lead traffic has a caved-in front nose, it can smell doom and gloom for any chance of winning. But we're at 12 to go. Should probably get we'll add the 1 to go here and 11 to go here. Had to think of words to fill up the sentence. But right now...
Words are hard.
Yeah, they are very hard. The English language is hard too. But anyway, looking at the point here, Lily Frazier leads the way. Obviously, right now, you are not coming in. Everyone's hit their number. If you only come in is if you got damage, or if maybe you want to try to get off sequence and try something if get more chaos happens. But right now, Lily Frazier leads the way, and there you can see right behind the 13 of John Smeal with that pretty Smeal racing-sized machines, which at the very least would be kind of funny, because at the very least, whoever gets second overall in the race ends up getting a Smeal's Racing Designs paint scheme made. So if Smeal ended up finishing second, he'd be rewarding himself when the end of the race concludes. But that's still well over 20 42 laps to go here at the actually 32 laps to go at the very least. Nice little drone camera shot here to show all the pretty schemes that some drivers have elected to choose. Others obviously running testing schemes, but a good little check here to show the top 10. There's Callie Height, Pacey Wygent, there's the 81 of Joshua Sosi, defending champion. Blake Henderson in the WWE 2K24 machine with Rhea Ripley. Hopefully doesn't have the ill effects of what happened to Ripley on Raw this weekend. And here's the rest of the field here zooming on by as we are now going to get the one to go to get ready for this race to start.
But when we come back to Green Flag Racing, Frazier, who is leading for the first time, is going to defend against another potential first-time leader in Jonathan Smeal. Now, if I'm the drivers right now, something that's kind of on my mind is that we're about to invert the field. We're only 11 to go, 10 to go when we go back to Green Flag Racing before we pause the race and invert the field. If you're up front right now, what is your mindset on that? Do you keep running as hard as you can up front to try to knowing that you have the strongest car, or do you start backing off knowing that when we get to the final run of this race, you have the advantage of starting up front again?
If I said vote going to the back here, I would be called a coward by Carmen next time I talk. I can't say that at the very least. But I think right now, if you're in that top 4, top 6, you got to go for the win. If you're in that top 10, the inversion keeps you the same. And if you're in the back, obviously you want to stay in the back. So I think right now, you stay where you are at the very least mindsets, but it comes to driver preferentials and where you want to be. Like Odie is a good example. A driver that smells danger and wants to get to the back. I think he maybe better to go towards the front so the inversion helps him out. But at the same point, maybe that's what he wants to do. Start in the back here and then get to the front and then really show off his true spirits at the very least. But I think it's just roll the dice. And look at that as well. As Josh Sosi won the 300 last year. Very strong driver indeed. Capped off the start of the season and ended up leading to a championship. So also worth noting, win that 300. It could maybe give you the momentum to ride that trophy all the way to the championship finish. But we are going to get ready here to go green this time by with 10 magical laps to go to the end of the stage. And don't go anywhere. We got 20 laps after that as well.
So the first racing Ford Mustang takes a hard left turn down pit road one more time. And Willie Frazier will be in charge of this field as we go through the Geico restart zone. Green flag flies. Frazier gets a great jump, but don't discount Jonathan Smeal and company. They're keeping along for the ride very, very well. The Lady Liberty group also starting to make a move. They might try to hook up with each other one more time and see if they can make a run before we get to the break.
Yeah, well, DJ Trout hit the pit lane there, I believe, is what I was hearing through my earpiece. So that's going to be a penalty for DJ Trout. Just got back on the lead lap 2. That is going to be a 45-second stop hold, and now that could put him in a chance of being one down again. But we'll have to focus on the front here right now. The 13 to 20, even though they almost ended up in tears, they're like, yeah, we'll work together again. We'll get towards that front. It almost ends in tears again as Smeal and the 20 of Jonathan M still not really in lingo, in lockstep to try to get towards the front here, and that's really affecting inside line. And they're just trying whatever they can do. But look at that. It's on line 3. Got hooked in the fence. Callie Height luckily does not take anyone with her.
Yeah, you say that.
Car piles on in the Callie Height.
Stays green. Callie Height's going to go all the way back there. Gary Donaldson, Marcus Chafin, and Selena Thompson are all going to take the ride with Callie Height right there. That's going to be a hard run for them, but the good news is the field's about to be inverted here in a few laps. Back up front, Willie Frazier, Hagan, Josh Susi and company, all running as Devin 94 in trouble.
Yeah, we have an incident on the racetrack. We'll take a quick look at the replay here. You can see Callie Height
yells out.
So we'll have to take a look at the yell here, but you can see the big wreck there. We'll talk about that in a second. We'll finish the wreck here first. Pendel seemed to be the bottleneck that may have caused this. Obviously, we'll take a look when we get a chance. So obviously when one incident happens, try to check both. So we'll see here again what happened while we were in replay camera here. Keep an eye on that 94 on the high side. Dean Clavitt pushing the thing. And look at that 25 wiggling here. That purple and black WWE 2K24 machine. 81 goes high, and that caused the checkup. Sends 94 up to the wall. Sienna sneaks through, and then Thompson get hooked. And there's Gaiman, and there's the 2 also involved as well.
There's a couple causes in this incident. Josh Susi throws the block on the 94 machine. That belongs to Chris Pendel. Then the 94 is pushed back into the 90 of Dean Clavet. The 94 goes into the wall, and accordion effect happens. And next thing you know, 4 cars go around, and that could spell the end of the night for a couple guys. Joshua Arnold's involved. Josh Gaiman's involved. The other two drivers involved, as we said, the 94, and I believe the 20 of Jonathan Adams was involved as well.
Correct. He obviously got a little bit loose there as well. I'm keeping an eye on that 2 of Josh Arnold right now as he's coming in the pit lane. He is very torn up. That thing is not looking good, and it looks like its day is done. We'll take another look here again at what happened here. Obviously, that's Sosi. And again, look at the gap, and that's what I was talking about, practice about running. You can see right there a bit of a push there, but if you get too far ahead, the pack gets ahead of steam, and you could end up being swallowed whole because of it. Gets to the outside and gets the charge. Sosi trying to go high. That caused enough of a stack up that caused the 94 machine to get put in the wall, and at that point, it's a race of survival. Just try to get around and keep it straight. Similar to the first time, they kept it good. This time, though, Gaiman, Arnold get touched up and obviously send them into the wall. Denny and Wygen also did a great job to avoid that chaos. We almost again had it saved, but sometimes luck is not on the side, and that caused some damage for those 4 cars involved on your screen. Terminal on Arnold. And also, important to note as well, as I'm hearing my earpiece, is that helps the cars that ended up getting kind of screwed up in that first incident and caused the checkup. So now Kelly Height and the rest, they get a bit of a bailout. They get real geared up here with 7 to go, and we're going to see what happens here at the moment. I think looking at the field right now, I think one other car that ended up having some pretty bad damage from that, I think is Selena Thompson as well. She is a little bit damaged on pit lane because of the incident a little bit earlier. So we'll have to keep an eye on who is where and sort through the wrecks. But what we can do is give you a race summary. Lap 43 of 50, 7 laps to go in this stage. Cautions 5, caution laps of 12, lead change to 13. So that is how it looks at the moment. And now the question is, it's interesting now because we talked about inversion. We've talked about everything else in that point. But now, obviously, you get one fresh faster pair during the next stage of the race. But if you have terminal damage and you lose multiple laps, it's almost basically done for any chance. So now there's the risk right now. If you don't have a fast pair, let's look at Pacey Watch, for example. We know he doesn't have one left in the tank. Josh Gaiman just pitted for uses fast pair. Now he's got a bit torn up. If you can keep it running, it may be better just to avoid this. Maybe say, all right, if I get wrecked out now, I'm going to go, let's say, 4 down for the end of the Heat 2. And you don't want to end up taking that chance and lose a lot of laps. So there's that risk right now. If you have a faster pair, you're going to go crazy here because you'll get to keep it in the next stage. But at the very least, if you end up losing it, you may be better to back it up and say, look, live the fight another day and sure you stay on the lead lap for the final 20 laps. So Lily Frazier as well. Again, rookie here, obviously strong in the truck series. Obviously, first time she's really been in a next-gen machine, and she is really showing off. Even though rookie, high-pressure situations, someone that's been in high-pressure situations, it can make you crack when you're not careful. And right now, she is showing strong and showing strong like a diamond. She's keeping it nice and clean, as I almost saw that car of Odie almost pile into the outside line. But it's going to be the 11 of Frazier and Blake Henderson, your front row here. We'll have 5 laps to go when we take the green in this stage.
So 5 more laps before we end up inverting the field. Lily Frazier has the most to gain and also the most to lose at the same time. Blake Henderson will start on the outside, and down the field it goes. John Hagan, Jonathan Smeal, row number 2. Joshua Susi, Dean Clavette, row number 3. And then all the way back in row number 4, Carmen Sienna will be outside Pacey Wygant. So a lot of talented drivers still in the mix to win the heat race, if you want to call it that, the main event yet to come. I think no matter what right now, if you're in that top 10 group, you're okay with where you're at right now because you know that you got a good chance of rescuing it and moving up front when we invert the field in 5 laps.
Well, at the very least, if you're 10th right now, it's the easiest math for you. You would say, actually, if you're 11th, it's the easiest math for you. You'll stay 11th. So, at the very least, with the inversion, that will help you out. But yeah, we're going to go green here. And the question is, again, who has an iron jaw? Who can survive this and avoid the chaos and avoid the pressure, bring home a stage win and bring home a prize? Obviously, again, not the best prize, not the shiniest prize, but a prize no less. We're going to find that answer out in 5 laps time.
Pace car is going to make the hard left turn down pit road, this time by one more time. And the rookie, Lily Frazier, back in charge of the field as we go through the Geico restart zone. It's going to be Frazier hitting that pedal and getting a big shove from the 14 of John Hagan. Hagan getting Frazier up front, gets a great start, but I got a feeling Hagan is not doing it out of altruism. I think he wants to take the lead.
Well, remember, those two are teammates, though, for Arrowhead Racing, so obviously it helps to keep those two cars ahead because you can make it a race between yourselves. Henderson going to go low to try to break up that monotony, but right now not happening. They're 3 wide in that lane. They have to pick a lane, have to choose a chew car. Meal trying to block, but obviously the car's not having any of that right now, just fighting for line. Now Henderson, who went a bit early, now going to drop to the line. And with 5 to go, this is again where experience matters. Hagan, experienced driver. Clavitt, experience. Carmen, Sienna, experience. Pacey Wise, experience in plate races. A lot of these drivers are experienced when it comes to plate racing. Lily Frazier, maybe not so much in an XM machine at the plate races, but if she can hold strong, you can maybe give her that experience at the very least. But it helps to have an experienced team behind pushing you. And with 4 to go, Team Boss on that low line, going to get pushed. Smeal going to jump in front. So Smeal likes his odds to go to the front here. The question is, can he hold a block if he gets it?
Aggressive driving all the way abound. John Hagan baptizing Lily Frazier by fire as it stays all over the back bumper of that car. Team Clavitt in the mix there as well. Pacey Wygen, Joshua Susi, all looking to try to make up some position, start to try to get in front of him, but so far, Frazier holding calm on the high side.
Yeah, right now it's about tandems and getting cars in association. And this is where, again, friends are where you can find them. Top 2 are obviously teammates. There's that worth noting. But then you go a little bit back on the field. Dean Clavitt's driving for Premier Racing Club. Pacey Wygen driving for Coast to Coast. They have no allegiance with each other. And look at that move to the low side, and a hook by the 22. And Wygen gets a bad bump. He saves it. He gets what was the better of the 2 outcomes. Meanwhile, there's Gaiman involved. Bunch of other cars involved. Big lick for the 20 of Jonathan Adams. Gaiman piles in. And knowing Gaiman doesn't have a fast repair, that could be bad for that. And the 20 car could be done as well with that bad damage. Well, he has to jump the pit lane.
That is the big one happening, and you knew it was only a matter of time before that would happen. Let's go ahead and take a look back at what happened there, and you really start looking around the 22 machine. That belongs to Gary Donaldson. Gary Donaldson gets a shove from, I believe, that's going to be Joshua Gaiman going through the trioval there. They get together, and it just creates an accordion effect down the field. I think it's easier to say what cars were not involved as opposed to which ones were, because nearly everyone behind them definitely has some sort of damage now.
Mongold got hooked by the 20 of Jonathan Adams there. I saw it in the far shot there, and Adams got really destroyed there. Mongold ended up not getting as worse, even though he got the hook. We'll take a look here again. Keep an eye on those 2 cars there, the white Doc Prep machine and the black and white Mobile 1 machine here. But we're focusing still on Gary Donaldson and Josh Gaiman here. Yeah, just try to block, couldn't get it done, sends him sideways. Now keep an eye at the 20. Accidentally hooks the Mongol there. Shoot up the race surface, and they just hooks right hard. Boom. Big lick. And then Gaiman just doors him, and I don't think Gaiman's going to be too thrilled about that one because it's just multiple damage for 3 good cars there. And I know one of it's terminal, and the other 2 could be joining the graveyard here. We'll take another look here again, and now we're right on board with Jonathan Adams in question. He'll give us a good look, see what happened. Now we're rocking with Marcus Chaffin, where we'll see what he sees from his eyes.
And you can see as Chaffin goes through this field, chaos all around him, left, right, center. He's just got to hit the brakes, try to hold off, try not to get involved, and he does a great job of just holding the brakes, being calm about it, and getting through the melee. When it comes to incidents like that, all you have to do is work your way through, go where the smoke isn't, and hope for the best. Hope that you don't hit. Let's go on board with Richard Odie.
Yeah, at the very least right now, at this point, I want him when I go to Vegas because he's avoided another wreck here. Look at this. On the brakes, puff the smoke. Maybe not as dramatic as the replay we saw with Marcus Chaffin, but at the very least, he's on the brakes, keeping it slow, seeing all the carnage around, and he just gets on through nice and clean. And right now, that's going to promote him. Everyone else is in the pit lane. He came in as well just to top off. But that is going to be, at the very least, he's now currently 12th, and with a lot of cars behind him with damage. You see Trout, obviously, had some damage. Donaldson, Sharp, Chaffin, a lot of them having damage or laps down or whatever. There's the point where that's just going to be natural promotions. And at the very least, he's looking at a point to get pole position for the inversion. So just survive and keep the car clean could maybe reap rewards for Odie. But we're going to have 3 to go to 2 to go here. And right now, it's still Lily Frazier with the iron chin, as she is holding strong in first position. John Hagan now, the problem is they'll be front row coming to this restart. However, at the very least, with being able to communicate, one can maybe drop the throttle just a bit and the other one can jump in. But with no lane changes, it's going to be up to trying to communicate this in a certain spot you can.
Hagan may try to push Lily here. We've seen Hagen push very aggressively throughout the rest of the race. It could secure a 1-2 finish for Arrowhead Racing out there, but we'll see. Again, the field inverts at this point, and I don't know. After everything I've seen, I do not know that I want to win this. I want to save it for the shootout. I don't think I want to win this segment just because we have seen so much chaos on the field. I think I would, if it's one of me, I want to drop back a little bit further, get the invert on my side, and not have to have the issues of running through this field.
I'll play devil's advocate at that point here, because usually I would say that may not be a bad approach, but let's take a look at who's still running right now at the moment. We have 13 cars on the lead lap at the moment. Gary Donaldson on the pit lane now with a alarm clock. I don't think he's going to beat the 10 count here. He's going to go one down. So the inversion is obviously going to help the cars in question, but at the very least, do you want to be... The question is right now, do you want to be in front of maybe a car that's slightly wounded on the lead lap on that point? At the very least, if you win the stage, yes, you're 12, but if that checkup happens, that point happens, you got no one behind you. So I think I'm in the reverse camp now. With so few cars left, I'm going to want to win this stage, and at the very least, I'm starting maybe 12, 13, maybe 14, because the 14 cars still running. Lily Sharp's out of the beat the 10 count here. Looks like Chaffin will also get out there, but be a lap down. So I think I'd rather say, all right, 14th, I got no one behind me. If those damaged cars check the field up, I can avoid it easier than a car maybe in the middle of a sandwich right now that on the restart, like Sienna, Smeal, Sosi, Henderson, they're going to be in a rock and a hard place when we see that inversion happen at the end of the stage.
We will go through all the cars that are not currently running as we hit the break after this green-white checkered attempt to get through the 50-lap, not a main event, but the 50-lap opener of this race, we'll put it that way. Lily Frazier and John Hagen ensure it's an Arrowhead Racing 1-2 restart, but now Pacey Wygant, Dean Clavette, Joshua Susi, and Carmen Sienna all in the wings, trying to see what they can do with the last gasp here. 2 laps go. Who are you picking to win the race? Or win this part of the race?
Honestly, right now, I think right now it's going to be, I'm going to put my money on an Arrowhead car. Which one? Let me flip a coin real fast. We'll go with the rookie here, Lily Frazier. I got a feeling Hagen may be just a bit more loyal here in stage 1 because, hey, I'd rather give my driver confidence going into the main race a couple weeks' time.
I think it's going to be, personally speaking, I agree with you. It's going to be an Arrowhead car, but it's not going to be the one you think. The 44 of Hagen has been strong all day long, and I've got a feeling that Hagen is going to make that move when push comes to shove. Lily Frazier will take them back down into the Geico restart zone. Green flag in the air, and another great restart for Frazier. But look who's all over her bumper, Pacey Wygant. Now the oven will yield up to track, and the 2 Arrowhead cars back with one another.
Bit of strategy there. Hagen probably dropped the brake just a bit to allow that Levin to quickly get up. So it's a bit of a risk. If the cars behind can predict it, they could bump you out of the way or try to split you. But it worked out perfectly there. Again, experience of the 44 paid off. And look at that top 4. It's 3 Arrowhead cars and a 90, a Dean Clavett. And right now they're single file coming to the white flag this time by. There is no help from behind. Dean Clavett could be a bit in trouble here as he's got no assistance. You can see a car going a bit slow. Oh, that looks like it's Pacey. Actually, not even Pacey Wygant. Car going slow there in the back there. We'll pull back up. But as we're coming around to the white flag lap, it's an Arrowhead sandwich, and they're going to have to try to break this monotony up if any driver wants a chance to win this stage.
Lily Frazier continues to lead at the start-finish line. White flag in the air. Next flag finishes the stage. Frazier, Hagen up front. Dean Clavett in third. Carmen Sienna trying to join the Arrowhead contingency up front and make it a 1-2-3 for the stage. Jazz Susi, we had a car up in the fence. We'll continue to follow along with your leaders. There's now 5 cars all running for that lead.
That's actually smart by Sienna's jumping low here. If maybe he gets win the go, at the very least, maybe get Clavett the bait and switch. But now that's going to lose the rear gunner. It's going to be 2 cars linked up with Clavett and Sosi going against the 2 cars of Hagen and Frazier. Clavett going to go low. Sosi cannot follow it through. So that's going to kill the 90s run. Clavett, though, going to try to make a move. Not going to get it done. 3 wide here. Sosi going to get a run. Hagen on the high side as it comes to the line.
Hagen on the high side as we have trouble. And I love it. 81 get in the wall. The green chicken is flying. Hagen's got it, but there is a big wreck behind him.
That was very odd indeed. It almost looked like the car pushed up there at the end by Sosi and just bodied the wall here. We're taking a look at this replay. You'll see what happens here. Clavitt tries to get going on a run here. 81 doesn't get the memo in time. 81's like, you know what? I got a better chance to do this myself. Gets the good off Hagan, splits it perfectly. Frazier tries to block. A little experience pays off. 3 wide to the line, and you can see them get hooked here. I mean, get hooked together and then drive up the wall, and into the wall they go. Big
Huge
crash
to end the first stage, going into this last 20-lap shootout. Lots of drivers involved, and I don't think there'll be any hard feelings. I think these drivers are going to have a very, very short memory going into this, but I do think this is going to be a very cautionary tale of what you can and can't do. And the last thing you want to do is, with 20 to go, destroy the car you're in.
Yeah, but I think the flip of the coin, at the very least, I would say this on this point, is that this is also an exhibition race, so drivers are going to have more long memories. So you got a rivalry with someone. Hey, why don't we show what that rivalry is? But look at that body, the 11 in the wall. Basically used it as a brake, and that thing went from about 200 to about 50 as it crossed the line there. And you see battle for second went to Sosi. Frazier got third, Sienna fourth. So Arrowhead 1, 3, 4. And you can see the rest. You'll see the inside line here. Cars getting hooked together. And similar to Kyle Busch's wreck in 2015, one goes sliding, and that's Wygent, and hits the wall hard there. And ooh, that is virtual concrete with no safety barrier to protect. And that is.
So, we'll now have a 5-minute little timeout for everyone to catch their breath, take a drink of water, regroup with the team, try to figure out what you want to do in these last 20 minutes. You'll also notice that the weather has mysteriously gone from sunset to darkness. That was a deliberate change on the for the team out here, or with the race team out here. So we'll actually go to a night race now where the track has lost a little bit of its grip. It's still rubbered up, so even though it's still a fast track, it's going to be a little bit slicker as well, create new levels of challenge for these drivers.
Yeah, at the very least. Obviously, you've been racing about 50 laps in the day, and now you got to run about 20 in the night. Obviously, the same in the group qualifying, but obviously, muscle memory may be a bit forgotten because that happened around 8:15. That's about an hour ago, hour and some change. So, obviously, memory of muscle, how that felt, is going to be that. And you remember, you got to deal with the lower fuel capacities on a grippier track. That's going to be interesting to note, to say the least. But also, I want to take this quick opportunity as well with 2:28 to go. Obviously, again, this is a charity race, so we'll take a quick look again to kind of say this, if you can, at the very least. This is the race benefiting the Alzheimer Association, and at the very least, obviously the link should be floating around somewhere in the chat, and this would be a great opportunity. Again, if you can, please donate to a great cause, and at the very least, if you can, if you don't have the financial resources, share out the link, share the stream, what have you, and try to raise some awareness for a great cause and a great charity for why these drivers are here racing tonight.
And that link in the chat, the Alzheimer's Association goal is to fight and end Alzheimer's and the associated diseases that come with. ALZ.org, the website. Feel free to donate if you can. Great cause and a great thing all these guys and gals are doing out here tonight, these drivers are doing to benefit a lot of people who are hurting right now.
Yep, at the very least, it's a great cause, and hopefully we're putting on a good show for them. But with 1:34 to go here, warm ticking slow. Obviously, drivers making those last-second inversions here and trying that. Again, link should be flowing in the chat, both the ALZ.org link and the other link here as well. Post both of them here. Looks like I had a little extra text in mind. But the point is at the very least, it's still a great try to do that. But with 1:18 to go, it's the calm before the storm. Getting breath, if you will. Get a minute to breathe, as this is the last chance, last grabs before you have to go a 20-round slugfest, the heavier rounds. Like, when fighting, when boxing, those championship rounds, those extra couple rounds, this is what this is. It's going to be put up or shut up. Take what you learned previously, know who you can work with, know who you can't, and try to survive the punches, and maybe, just maybe, you'll walk out with the grand prize.
I think what you're seeing right now is these drivers are getting out of the virtual cars. They're going over to other teams. They're going over to the partners and doing a little bit of horse trading. If I do this, will you do that for me? If you push me, well, can I trust you to push? If I push you, can I trust you to push me? All of those different, negotiations happening right now. And that's all good and well. Don't get me wrong. I think it's a great thing they're having those conversations. But the problem is, your job is not to push somebody else to victory. Your job is to win the race. I think it's going to be all nice and good for the first 10 laps. But after that, when push comes to shove, the gloves are coming off, and no one's missing a punch.
I think at the very least, if you pull these 22 drivers, I think one driver will say, you know what, I'm fine pushing. Because at the very least, they get some good screen time. At the very least, maybe if they push them, they make a bad block up the lane, it could open the door. So we'll have to see on that point. But with warm-up done, calm for the storm, you can see the iRacing blimp riding around the sky right there. It's going to give us a nice little shot. The camera that's used in a lot of broadcasting flying overhead here. Hopefully it's got enough helium to survive 20 more laps. And there it goes, just out of the sky like an angel's kiss.
Like an angel's kiss. I like that. Very, very classy. Very poetic, if you will. I appreciate that.
I can be a bit poetic when you give me the chance. But anyway, field is inverted. Obviously, Vela is the pole sitter at the end of this inversion, but obviously him may not be here at the very least. That will then promote Josh Arnold to the point. But then, yeah, we'll see how it all plays. But at the very least, you'll see the cars lining up on the pit lane here, getting ready to go. Josh Arnold, obviously, everyone gets a flash repair here. So obviously, terminal damage does not longer apply. You get one fast repair and you get your spot. So at the end of the day, maybe crashing out early could have been beneficial. So Josh Arnold will now get to take pole position along with Christopher Pendel, who was our pole sitter. So the pole sitter from this heat 1 is now going to be in the outside of row 2, but you can see as we drone camera around the shots. But if you're Sosi, Hagen, Lloyd Frazier, Carmen, Sienna, Arrowhead Racing, you're going to have a lot of work to get done here. This is the HTL Cup Series Charity Shootout, and we're going to take a quick look at the starting grid.
Well, as we get ready to go back, green flag racing in the HTL Cup Series Charity Shootout. The inverted grid is running on their way. Joshua Arnold will be in charge of this field. On the outside of him, the 27 of Selena Thompson. The 94 of Christopher Vendel will start position number 3. Joshua Gaiman starts position number 4. Jonathan Adams and Marcus Chafin make up positions 5 and 6. Alyssa Pellier Sharp in 7th, Gary Donaldson 8th, DJ Trout in 9th, and Richard Odie has had some incredible luck today. Starts in position number 10.
Move a little bit down here to see Alpha Denny, Callie Height in the next row. In row number 7, Wygen and Austin Mongold in the next row. Spiel and Clavitt. In the next row, Sienna and Frazier. And the last 2 rows, Sosi and Hagen. Defending champion and driver you could say is a championship favorite this season. So this is going to be interesting. Selena Thompson, obviously, with the car not going in Vela, it's going to promote Selena Thompson to the front row. So she's going to be inside row number 1 because let's take a look at the conditions. Obviously, same temperature, now a bit more humid, but the wind is also a lot calmer. It's now 4 to the north, when before it was 12 to the northeast. So a lot calmer, going to make these cars a bit more stable, and maybe, just maybe, help out some of these drivers.
Just maybe. We'll see exactly how that works out as we get ready to go back. Green flag racing in about half a lap or so. All right. Now your money's on the table. Who's winning this race? I want to hear your pick right now.
Oh, that's going to be an interesting choice. I'm going to do it quickly here. Just, you know what? Easy just to put my finger down the screen, quickly pick a name. It's going to be Pacey Wygen.
Awesome choice. Very excellent, very good choice. We'll get our producer's pick in just a second here, but right now we're going back green flag racing, and the field is in command of Joshua Arnold, who will be your leader, or the leader de facto, as we go back green flag racing. The field is inverted 20 more laps before we crown a winner of the shootout.
Oh boy, this is going to be interesting.
Interesting is a nice way to put it, as you see 2 teammates working down low. Selena Thompson, the 27, the 33 of Josh Gaiman, trying to continue to stay up through the field. We know those 2 cars will be strong as we get trouble. The 8 machine goes around, and that's going to cause the big one so early.
Well, it looks like only a couple cars may have got major damage there. The 8, obviously, we'll see how wounded that thing is. See another car parked on the high side there. You can see that's Lily Frazier, not Lily Peltier Sharp, I should say. The Lily car cutting through the bus stop there in the grass. So we'll see how many cars ended up taking the rock here. Josh Arnold keeps the lead. We'll see here again. So keep an eye on that low line. We'll see what exactly happens.
This all starts around the 8 machine, and I'm not sure if the 8 just had the air taken off him by the 25. the 22, or if it was one of the one of those two drivers right there for Lady Liberty that checked him up. Either way, the 8's going to go on the ride with the assistance of, I believe that's the 25 machine, and that's going to take out quite a few drivers. I think the one taking the most damage out of this is going to be the driver of the 29 machine. That is Alfred Denny. Lost the front bumper on that one, and that's going to force him to go back down pit road.
At the very least, cars have one extra fast pair thanks to this new stage. Obviously, fast pairs did not carry over, so if you did had a fast pair at the start, you do not have a fast pair now. There's that situation. Taking a look here at the replay again, keep an eye on that 8 Sonic machine. You're going to see the accordion effect here, and you're just going to see, again, Chafin hold that low line. See if we can get a nice slowdown here. Obviously, running line, trying and drifting a bit. And yeah, just we'll see here. Check up just a bit. Tries not to get in the game and gets on the brakes. Gets in the game and unsells the car just enough that the 22 Gary Donaldson gets side by side. And at that point, that's all it takes to hook a car. And obviously, Jonathan Adams not happy that he's going to get doored there. And probably another universe that probably tears out the fender. And you can see right there, Donald's has a little bump, gets a little hooked up the racing surface, and sends up the road as well. So karma kind of gets Donaldson, even if it wasn't intentional. And then you see Callie Height out, nowhere to go, hits the wall hard. Pacey Wygant escapes through it quite nicely, though. Carmen Sienna locking up the fronts as well and ends up making a little front-end kiss with Alfred Denny there. The noses end up touching. Frazier makes it through nice. Lily Frazier, Lily Peltier sharp. The other Lily, not so much. But look at that. Nice and clean through. Avoids all the incidences. And again, even though she may be a bit of a rookie, she is definitely showing the experience of a vet of like racing. Will now ride on board with Lily Frazier, the driver that finished second in heat number 1.
And you see here from Lily Frazier's perspective, lots of chaos up front, especially when that 8 gets out of line, and that's what's going to cause her to make the dive down and try to avoid as much as carnage as possible. Able to do so, shoots the lap very, very quickly, and she's going to pick up some spots out of that. Good driving, smart, heady driving on her behalf, and I think she's really going to be one to watch as we continue to move through the field. If she continues to pull moves like that, she's got a great chance to win this race.
I think so too, as the Wiz. And teammates are going to be kind of close together here, so we'll have to see how this all plays at the very least and line up kind of nicely to each other. One thing I've kind of a thought popped in my head. Obviously, this is supposed to be a bit of a practice session to a bit. It's not all practice. It's obviously for the fun, raise money for charity, all those things, all those good and dandy things. But one thing that these drivers really haven't had a chance to practice because of this, green flag pit stops. There's just been cautions at the right points. And obviously, pit road, especially this track going from 200 down to about 45, 55, there's that risk of trying to get on the throttle and not spin the tires out. And obviously, no real practice that. So that's kind of the downside here. They will have a chance, obviously, with practice sessions coming up, qualifying, duels, all that. They get a little bit more chance of that. But one vital opportunity to maybe make sure you get in sync with your teammates is now gone with obviously no green flags, pit stops on the horizon. Or maybe, again, I'm just someone that votes for a little bit of chaos.
There's nothing wrong with being an agent of chaos. I just think you're going to have 22 drivers who you may not be popular with at the end of the race.
I mean, hey, this is supposed to be a charity race. We're supposed to have fun, play it out. If I had a vote, I may put him on a figure 8 track. Only kidding on that one. But anyway,
Or are you?
Who knows? Who knows? I keep my hands close. Who knows? I keep my hands close to my checks on the very least, and who knows? Maybe that would have been something we saw last season. But anyway, insulting last season alone on the line as well. Send the hate mail to the producer for that comment. But anyway, we're going to get ready for green here this time by 17 to go, about to be 16, and now I'm getting another earful in my ear right now. I'm going to get a bit of a chewing out in the post-production meeting.
That's on you. You made that comment. I didn't. I just teed you up for it.
Hey, we got to get the chemistry out. So you tee me up. I got to slam it home. At the very least, I may hit a home run.
You may have hit a touchdown for 3 points and a double goal. I don't know how this works.
And we won the Masters.
A home run at the Masters. What could be better? Mm-hmm. Joshua Arnold. Selena Thompson, row number 1. And Selena Thompson's got some help from Josh Gaiman on the high side. Christopher Pendel in that mix as well. Pendel, who was running high to begin this race. Now is another chance to lead here as we get ready to go back to green flag racing. Only 17 to go, so now it's go time. Whatever plans you had, as Mike Tyson once so gracefully said, everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face, and that yellow flag might have been the punch in the face this field needed to wake up. Pace car about to go into the pit road as we get ready to hit the Geico restart zone.
All right, pace car coming on down. Going to be on Thompson's control. Green flag is out, and away we go. Great restart by Arnold, and there may be some talks about some jumping there. We'll have to see what the stewards think.
It's only jumping if you get caught. Meanwhile, Arnold is going to get under fire here real quick from Joshua Gaiman, from Selena Thompson, and up to now the 25 of Blake Henderson's in the mix. But look, don't look behind him. Arrowhead is making a big run. Carmen Sienna getting help from her teammate, John Hagan, and the 11 also in the mix as well, as we have two lines of racing.
Look at that tear up on Blake Henderson. That's got to be affecting a little bit. I'm looking at that left corner front there. You can see some scratches and some marks on it, but it's not affecting the pushing here. At the very least, that thing is still looking the right direction. You can see the concave on that right fender. Right now, Henderson, though, not being too much of a parachute here. Question is, will he stay high with Sienna or jump low? Point, and Richard Odie gonna fall to the back again, maybe sensing some danger. You know, they say, obviously, maybe not a comparison, but Garfield, the dog, his name is Odie. Maybe similar to how dogs can sense danger. Maybe Odie is sensing a little bit of danger here and wants to feel a little bit more safe in the back. But right now, though, still up front, the 25 and 96 pushing nose to tail here, but that's not going to be enough, as the 2 of Arnold is going to be still leading on that inside line.
Arnold controlling the outside line as a 25 of Blake Henderson. Now maybe a bit of a roadblock for the Arrowhead team. Carmen Sienna all over that back bumper. She wants to lead this race so bad. She wants to bring John Hagan along for the ride. It's only a matter of time, I think, before those two dump down and leave the 25 behind.
Yep, at the very least, that's the problem with linking up teammates. That's the risk. If they're in communication, you're not. They can go whenever they want to, and you have to mirror drive, and look at that right there. They go low. Trout can't follow suit, though, so can't follow the teammates. Will have to stay high, and now Henderson going to have to try to get regrouped and make something happen here. But top 2, leading the way, Arrowhead Racing and Sienna, the rookie as well, trying to make something happen. Look at Arnold trying to push Hagan clear to break up that monotony again and see some cars have to take evasive action to go low there below the double yellow line.
Hagan is your leader after a big push by Joshua Arnold, but look, his plan just backfired as Carmen Sienna jumps all over the back bumper of Hagan with the help of Joshua Gaiman. So now we've got 2 teams fighting it out up front. 1 and 2 belong to Arrowhead Racing, but Lady Liberty also almost 3 and 4. Now it's a 2x2 team fight who can end up taking this win.
In that conversation, Josh Gaiman drove that 96 last season in that role, and obviously mutual partation, I guess you could say. Gaiman got maybe a bit poached and went to another team, and obviously now old car pushing the new car at the very least, or old driver pushing the new car. Look at the front. They are very aggressive here. Even though we got 13 more laps, they're racing like it matters most. Spin in the back, 2 cars in the wall. Yellow flag is out. It's Gary Donaldson again involved in this incident, and I believe the other one I want to say is Sosi, the defending champion. He was involved as well, and that's not a good look for the driver that almost won stage 1, and he's going to need an EOL, so he's got some heavy damage.
Heavy damage for the 22, and it looks like there's just an accordion effect from some of that aggressive racing. We'll have to take a look from the blimp, but if you look at it from my perspective, it starts around the 90 and the 94. Those two get a couple shunts back and forth. The 22 forced to check up, but the 81 does not get the memo on that. So the 81 will pit maneuver the 22. Those two will get into the wall together. 2-car incident this time. Donaldson and Joshua Susi, as those 2 drivers, they are going to be the only ones involved in this. I think this is just a product of aggressive racing, especially through a very, very tight midfield.
Yeah, that's a very interesting situation. We were talking aggressive. Good avoidance by the 20, though. Obviously, probably had to use that fast repair on that first incident. Luckily, not going to take Jonathan Adams to the retirement zone here because of an incident. Good avoidance. You can see mowing the grass. Gary Donaldson is. Obviously, Sosi had a lot of damage. He had to come and take the EOL. And, yeah, 22 obviously still a little bit damaged, maybe relatively okay. We'll have to see how it all plays. And there's Sosi right there. limping around. This is still in the replay, I believe. Actually, it's back live, so never mind. You can see him right there, keeping and powering on. But look at the two trying to bait out pit lane. Obviously, no pit stops really needed unless you want to fix up damage, as there's enough fuel to get to the finish.
You may have to go back to race control, because I'm not sure exactly why the 81 is getting the EOL penalty. It looks like it was, again, just aggressive racing as the 22.
He did call it out. He did say he wanted one. So that was on driver's request that he wanted one. So that was on Stocy calling it. And he just took a fast pair as well. So that definitely helped out the cause as well. So wounded, came down pit lane, didn't want to hold anyone up just in case he decided to come in and stuff pit stops last time. And at the same point, was able to get it fixed, get it back out, and ready to race again. But now another driver you can count out.
I'm sure he's doing the courteous thing and calling it for the benefit of everybody else. But if it's me and I'm being competitive, I don't call that. That's just aggressive racing, and I could make the argument that the 22 may have tried to get back into line, not knowing the 81 was there. But either way, I'm not the driver. I can't make that call. All I can say is it was a product of hard racing. And I think we're going to see even more of that as time continues to wind down. We'll be under 10 to go when we're back to green flag racing.
Yeah. And again, cautions breed cautions, chaos breeds chaos, aggression beats aggression. And right now, all those things are probably, you can put a ×2 on, as it's not going to get any calmer when the laps tick down.
It never gets any calmer, especially when there's prizes to be won and pride on the line. You know, you talked about this being a practice earlier. There's no such thing as practice when you're on with opposing teammates. There's no such thing as practice laps when everybody out there is running in competition with one another. You're either testing out the competition or you're not. This is not a practice race. This is a feeler for what's going to happen when they go green flag racing for the first time next Monday, and you will see it right here on ABN1.
We can see one car pitting on the pit lane here. That is Gary Donaldson that is stationary in the pit lane right there. He's going to go one down here, and it looks like it's not going to... about to go another, as our race producer ends up saying there too. So you can basically count Gary Donaldson out of this race. One caution was all, then another one back-to-back, and that is Curtin's 22's chances. Obviously, he gets back out there. He's just going to race for pride, and that's going to give us 20 cars still running. Obviously, 21 cars took the flag here in the final stage. And with 10 laps to go, I think it's a good question I'll ask. If you love asking the questions, Joe, I'll ask you a question. How many cars do you think are going to make to the finish line here? Under power.
I think we're going to see about 18 cars go under power because, number one, there's still quite a few faster pairs left in this field, especially up front with Arrowhead Racing out there. I also think that the next incidents we're going to see aren't going to be major, or they'll be at the very end of this race where the power doesn't matter. All that matters is getting across that line first. So I'm going to stick by my number, 18 under power, and we'll see exactly if that rings true, because there's still a lot of 9 laps is still a lot of racing, especially at a big track like Daytona.
Yeah, I think I'll throw that number in just a bit. I'll say 15, but I still think these are very competent drivers, very skillful drivers. This is the HTL Cup Series. The best of the best are here. So I think they're definitely willing to keep it going. But obviously, even in the real life Cup Series, you've seen regression happens, drivers just going for the win, and be an exhibition race. You're not going to let someone in this situation. Obviously, 3 weeks' time in the 300, you'll see maybe, all right, I'll take a 5th place instead of wrecking it for 25th. But here, the only thing you're fighting for is that trophy, and most of these drivers in their mindset, I'd rather have the trophy than keeping a steering wheel for 3rd place, because only the top 2 get a prize, the second one gets a less shiny one if he ends up finishing.
As Carmen Sienna said before the race, you and I heard it both, you either win or be fabulous. And in this case, she has the opportunity to be both as Arrowhead starts first, second. John Hagan in charge of this field. Carmen Sienna on the outside. Through the Geico restart zone they go, and Hagan gets a great jump. Carmen Sienna's may have to drop back a little bit. Yes, she will, and let the 44 in, and now we're racing.
Teamwork as always there. That's what you want to see, at the very least. But again, Sienna will be loyal to a degree, but You know, Beck, she's got a chance to win, but she's taking it. Cars filing in and out there. High, low lane. As lanes start to get formed here. High line, low line. Arnold deciding what lane to go here. He's going to go high, then the back low, and he's going to run the low lane here. He's going to get some help there by Gaiman as well. And Thompson third. There's Dean Clavis. That low one's got 4 cars. Clavis, though, can't pick where he wants to be. He was fighting that thing all down the backstretch. Luckily, he gets that thing nice and cleanly squeaky and does not end up going in any other direction than the straight line.
And look who's also in the mix once again. Lily Frazier back in the field, but she's getting passed by the high line, 3 wide between the 00 and 94. The high line is definitely the place to be right now, as the 2 Arrowhead cars have at least 4 car lengths on the rest of the field. Nose to tail, it is Hagen, Sienna, Arnold now getting a push from the 27. Check that again. It's the 33 of Joshua Gaiman. Lady Liberty making a big move to try to get to the front.
That's the only downside is with different numbers, different drivers, different addresses. Sometimes they can get quite mixed up when you're looking at one thing and looking at another. But that will not change the racing towards the front. It's still the Hagen Sienna show. Arnold gets squirrely off the corner. Gonna hook Lily Frazier. Going in the commentary curse. Callie Height also involved. The 94-11, the 00 Pacey Wygent involved. And I think Selena Thompson was okay, but that's 4 or 5 cars involved there. And you can see right there the 3 got some heavy damage on that right side.
Heavy damage back there, and that is not what you want to see out of Lily Frazier. Great run so far, but that could, and well, at least put a damper on. Let's put it that way. Let's take a look at the replay there as you see them going 3 wide, coming out of turn number 4. The 3 gets hooked by the 00, I believe, and that's going to create a chain reaction through that field. At least 5 cars involved in that incident.
Yeah, a lot of cars in the middle of the back point there, and obviously, again, I always say during these plate racing, there's a point where you count in the back of your head. All right, 15 to go, I need to be here. 10 to go, I need to be here. 5 to go, I need to be here. And I'll probably bring that up during the main race too. But you got that in the back of your mind of when you need to get to a certain point, and that's just the aggression right there going 3 wide. You have to get towards the front and get yourself more competitive on that point. And look at that little fun fact on the screen there. Has missed every wreck. Richard Odie has missed every wreck right there. Hat tip to the man in question, getting those sponsors some nice little shininess there at the very least. Making sure to show them off, because hey, if you can't run up front, if you avoid every wreck, it reminds me of like 2005, 2006 when Kenny Wallace ended up getting like 6 lucky dogs. It got him talking about him. It got the sponsors airtime. So hey, if you can't maybe lead the race, the next best thing, avoid every wreck and get the camera to focus on you in that direction.
I think it's more of our producer, Chrissy Ryan, having a little bit of fun out there. A little too much, yeah, as you were, but she has a point. He has avoided every wreck successfully, and he has been able to navigate this incredibly well. As you also see the fun fact that she's putting up right here. John Hagen is the one driver who has led in both stages of the race. The 50 lap stage 1, and now the 20 lap shootout that's going to go down to maybe a green white checkered finish.
And I'll say right now as well, as we'll go with the second car here, Carmen has not led a lap. I thought she led a lap in the first stage, but
wow.
Has the better numbers here. She's got the better knowledge. So I think, obviously, if we'll hear a complaint there, at the very least, that fact is wrong. But we'll have to take it at face value. She is currently in second and not having led a lap. But hey, Ward Burton won the 2002 Daytona 500 by leading the last lap. So sometimes it's better than nothing. Austin Dillon did the same thing in 2018, but I don't think John Hagen likes hearing that fun fact if he's the car ahead getting pushed by the one behind.
I think Chrissy Ryan has forgotten who signs her checks.
Both Arrowhead cars worked together at a point there, and obviously, again, they worked together, they linked up, but they ended up getting interrupted by Sosi, so that could easily happen again here in that presence of mind. But they're still super strong, though. It reminds me of Colleague at Daytona. They can work together here, they can block the lanes. If they go high-low and control the lanes, they can make something happen. So anyway, though, we're going to get going green 2 laps here. Obviously, we're going to get the one to go this time by and the next time here as well. And this is interesting. And I think I was going to say here as well, whoever wins this race right now, you can say at the very least, great chance of winning the 300 in a couple weeks' time. I think you could easily say that with a straight face. Chris, you just brought it.
I think you're right. I think whoever comes out of this race is a big favorite for the season opener next week here on ABN1, but I also don't know that it's going to be very interesting to watch them translate that momentum into that race. Obviously, this is a much different style of racing than you will have in 1 week's time. In 1 week's time, people are running for points. People are running for good finishes, for top fives, for top tens. This is just a sprint race for fun where you tear up the sheet metal and have a good time. I think someone will be a favorite and will have momentum, but it's going to be very interesting to see how it's applied when there's actual implications on the line.
I will add one point as well, and it's worth noting, obviously not all the HTL Cup Series regulars are here, not all the charters here as well. Again, we are looking at some drivers that aren't here that will be here in a couple weeks' time, as long as some of the open cars that could be spoilers. So obviously, again, I still stand by my belief that whoever wins this race is in a good chance of winning next week, but I think you could throw a dart at a dartboard and get the same amount of odds here, because that's just how this plate racing is. But looking at the front here, you can see right there, at the very least, we're riding on board with the car in front of Austin Mongold. And right now, you can come and take it, as the bumper says. And I think that's kind of indicative of what our leaders and a lot of the cars are thinking right now. Come and take it. Take the position away from me.
I think you're going to have that no matter what. And that's what's going to make these next few laps very, very entertaining on so many levels. Get ready for the 4 hardest laps we've run all night here at Daytona International Speedway. 5 laps left to go. And like I said, 4 laps would go back green flag racing, and still anybody's race.
Looking to paraphrase a quote I absolutely love. A lot of these drivers in the mindset, I'm not lifting until I see God or the checkered flag, and we'll see which is the occurrence for some of these drivers here at the very least.
Are you saying you have the power of Jesus and anime on your side?
Maybe at the very least. I'll have to check what's in my closet. But anyway, 5 to go, and we're going to see how this goes.
Green flag about to fly here. The field in control of the 44 of Hagen. Well, we will see if the Arrowhead can hold on to win this race. Green flag flies, and Hagen, once again, incredible jump, is going to open the door for Carmen Sienna to drop in, and once again, Arrowhead in control of the field.
Henderson's very hungry, though. Again, driver that's been oh so close to winning plate races. Won the ABN Ambox Cup Series Daytona race. Can win these plate races quite strong here. Is hungry for a win. Did not win last season. Could win now. Could set the sails right in the right direction here, but not getting the best push here. And they're going to have to check back and get a look. Gaiman, though, looking to push that. The 2 of Josh Arnold going to drop low here. Going to aggressively side draft the 96. Going to try to make a middle line work here to try to go low. That inside line still not really formed up here. And Dean Clavitt looks like he's ready to ditch to try to make something happen, but Arnold going to drop low. And as we're coming to 3 to go here, it's still right now.
90 in trouble, 90 in trouble, and that is going to cause a lot of chaos towards the back of the field. The 90 involved, the 81 involved, going further back. Looks like several other cars may have had a piece of that as well.
Yeah, looking at the count right now, I see the 18 involved at the very least. Gaiman was involved. We saw him get the major hook there. EJ Trout, Marcus Chaffman, Joshua Sosi had a solo up there. Dean Clavitt, Pacey Wygen. But we'll find out the true answers here. And you're just going to see, again, aggression happens here. Clavitt on the high side. It's going to be Gaiman. We're keeping an eye on that low groove. 3 wide they are. And just a bad bump, I think, sends the deal here.
So Thompson gives a shove to the 90. The 90 then gets into the 33 of Gaiman. The Gaiman gets into the 81 of Susie. The 3 of them go around. I think the Gaiman gets the worst of that damage as he hits the wall and then comes back around for it. But don't discount the injuries on the 90 and the 81 as well. All 3 of those cars may have been effectively taken out of contention.
Yeah, Mongold. We'll take a look here as we're seeing someone with Mongold here. We're going to take a wild ride here. Again, come and take it. We'll see what he did to avoid getting it taken from him. So he's running on that low line here, kind of deciding here. Obviously, again, enough room ahead of Dean Clavitt. Obviously, Thompson's in that middle groove here. It's going to give him. There's Richard Odie, by the way, on the high side. I think he avoids another one. But we're keeping an eye on that middle groove here. Just a bad bump. Sends it. And look at Mongold shove down the line. Trying to get Casey Kane going down pit lane at full speed. Actually, Dave Blaney going down full speed and avoiding it nicely. And again, luckily no real crews were down there because that could have probably been a penalty. But luckily the virtual land, no harm, no foul. But the fastest someone's going to go down pit lane all today.
Smart. You know what? I'm going to give him credit for that. That's a smart move to avoid the accident to avoid getting involved in anything further. As you see him just getting that crazy move into the pit boxes and then back on pit road. If it's a penalty, I'll take it because I can well, not at this point, but earlier in the race, I would take the penalty because I can recover with a clean car.
He almost hit that inside wall, too. It looked perfect.
Yeah.
It was a little bit wobbly because he got hit. It wasn't purpose. And he ended up almost taking that inside retainer wall, and he made it through quite nicely. But we'll go back one more time for a POV check here as well. You can just see right there, it merges up. And then we're going to watch one more time from a nice little side camera here. Just keep an eye. Obviously, if we could have like a heartbeat monitor on this, too, it'd be just quite nice to read. But we don't have that technology quite yet. To see again, though, a little checkup, just shoves him down. Look how close he almost has a kiss in Sunoco.
Close, but no cigar in this case, thankfully. So we will now go to a green-white checkered finish. This race will be decided by 2-lap shootout, which I think benefits John Hagen and Carmen Sienna the most out of that entire thing. Jonathan Smeal now back in the mix. Jonathan Adams there as well. Joshua Arnold, position number 5. And look who's worked her way up to position number 6. It's Lily Frazier. There's still a chance that Arrowhead could go 1, 2, 3.
Yep, at the very least. It's easily can happen, and the question is right now, obviously, you're going to race it out to the finish line. And it's obviously in the real race in a couple weeks, if they had a 1, 2, 3, you're going to work together. Sure, you get a 1, 2, 3, you're going to make sure one of you wins, but you're not going to take each other out trying to get that win. But here in exhibition, loyalty is a thing, but at the same point, though, if, let's say, you finish 1, 2, 3, first place gets a prize, second place gets a prize, third place does not get a prize. So there's that motivation for the car in third. Try to get to the front and try to make something happen. Obviously, as it is HTL traditions, I can be correct if I'm wrong on this point, it is unlimited attempts. So they will have as many attempts as they need to get this race finishes. But that is what it was last season. Obviously, we'll get corrected on that, but right now, no, at least last season, that was the rule. We'll take also a look at the race summary. Lap 19 to 22 as we're about to enter overtime. 3 laps to go, 4 cautions for 12 caution laps, and 2 lead changes. So not many lead changes we had last time at this 20-lap mark in the first heat. But I think we'll see at least one more before this race is done.
At least one more. We'll see exactly what happens as the pace car's lights turn off. So John Hagen, Carmen Sienna back on row number 1. Jonathan Smeal, and I believe that'll be the 20 of Jonathan Adams will be row number 2, and Lily Frazier will join the 2 of Joshua Arnold in row number 3. Great position for the 11 as she starts on the high side, the faster side. If she could very quickly reunite with her teammates, and you said that, yes, third doesn't get a prize. But if I'm running with my teammates and I'm getting them that win, the 1-2, I'm okay being number 3 because now I've built some really good rapport with my teammates. I've built some really strong relationships with them, and now we go in feeling like we can take over this entire thing, next year.
Also, the 8 is worth knowing. Look at brand loyalty for a second. It's Toyota's in the top 2. And it's a Ford, Toyota, Ford, Toyota, Ford, Toyota, Ford, 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 Ford. The only Chevy in the field is that number 8 machine, even though Dean Clavitt has, at least on my screen, Chevy's on the hood, yet that thing is a Ford. It's still a Ford. So the lone Chevy in the field is not doing the bow tie proud. But you never know. 17 cars crash. You can pull up with James Busher and get Chevy that great victory here.
Anything is possible with a green-white checkered finish. Pace car makes the hard left turn down pit road now. And once again, the 14 team, the 44, whatever you want to call it, of Frazier back in control. Green flag flies, and a great restart once again for John Hagen. Gets a big jump. Carmen Sienna not able to jump on the rear bumper of him as looks like he got the 13 had some checkup to do. Now the 44 and 96 hooked up one more time.
And they're hooked up again here, getting a nice little shove here. Obviously, Smeal on the low line here. No momentum yet. Question is, will Jonathan Adams jump down here? Not going to be able to, as they're now officially side by side with him. The question is now, who's going to be that jump? Odie thought about it. Arnold thought about it as well. The 11 of Frazier thought about it too. Odie clips the ball just a bit there. Going to kill one on the high side. Now Arnold in the sucker hole. That's where you not want to be on the white flag lap, and that's giving breathing room to the top 3. As they keep it clean, we are going to see the white flag lap this time by.
White flag should fly this time by. Once the 44 takes the start-finish line, next flag will determine the race. Hagen continues to lead. Sienna second, and now Jonathan Adams trying to make a run.
Spinning in the back there, Clav involved, 3 at Cali Height along with Josh Arnold, the lone Chev in the field, Christopher Pendle, and a few others, but we keep it green more importantly. Race is still to the line here. Arnold, Sienna, Thompson, and Odie in 4th place right now, trying to push the 20 of Adams to the point.
Low line's got 4 trucks, or 5 cars, now 5 cars as the 14 goes
Hagen.
around. The 8 goes around. We will follow along with the leaders to the end as the 44 continues to lead. Now under fire from the 20. 20 goes low, 44 stays high. They go door banging side by side. This is going to be a run to the finish. Hagen has the advantage. Oh, here comes Frazier. Frazier under the yellow line. They still don't finish.
Hagen crossed the line, I believe, in first. We'll have to get the cameras out there. Obviously, question about legality with Frazier. Frazier won, but was it legal? She went below the double yellow line. I think Adams tried to block it going down 2. So we're going to have to take a look at that here from race control. Frazier crossed the line first. We can say that right now. But what's the legality of this is the question mark. So we can tell right now the winner is going to be either Hagen, Frazier, Adams. My screen says Hagen, but we'll have to see.
We'll have to take a look back at that finish. It's a matter of which incident we want to go to first, or where do we restart? We'll wait for our producer to make that call. But yeah, looking at my screen as well, I would dispute that because it looked like the 44 may have crossed the line first, and the 11 was definitely below the double yellow line. So as a result of things, it's a great finish, no matter what you want to call it, but it is we're definitely going to have to wait for an official determination.
Yep, we'll have to see as well. My timing scoring says Hagen by 0.00 over Frazier, but again, Frazier's celebrating like she won. Again, is this going to be a bit of a Jimmy Spencer moment where celebrating a bit too early, a bit more prematurely? Obviously, John Hagen's car was junked. He was not coming back to celebrate even if he won. Well, we'll have to see. Not hearing any calls yet from control. It's close. It is close.
Can we take a look at that finish one more time? I'm going to ask Chris if we can take a look at that finish one more time because
we'll take a white flag lap.
Yeah, start with the white flag lap here.
Starts in the back with Clavitt there, gets an incident with DJ Trout and a few others. That takes a few cars out of the pack. There goes Dean Clavitt's hood. But we stay focused towards the front, and this is where the second problem child happens here. It's going to be that 78 Odie and the 97 Carmen Sienna. Sienna pushes Hagen clear. Then you can see the outside getting pushed here. Now the question is, what happens to Odie that sends him high here? Oh, quadruple push gets 78 upset, sends it to Sienna, sends it down into the lead filler car, and that causes a checkup that second pack can't groove up. But Frazier, just being far enough ahead here, is going to allow a push. There's the 3 and the 61. Now back to the lead pack. Frazier getting a good run here. Again, drifting out too far ahead, going to get her a run. But look at this move. She goes low, maybe gets shoved, but I think that was more reactionary.
It's definitely. I mean, obviously there is contact between the 3, and it's very unclear what happened there. As I look at it from my perspective, from my screen, I see the 44 having a bumper over the 11.
Yeah, that's close. Again, I want to see one more time, if we can, after checking this. I want to see what Frazier did for her move. See from the cockpit, just to see what she does. Because this will give us a good perspective to see what she does here. Oh, she can't see her steering wheel. See, gets a run here. Does she get forced or she go low? Oh, yeah, she drifted before she gets forced. Like, she was going below the line before Adams even came down. So I don't think she was forced. That too, but at the same point, though, she had a run, but she took it, and I just think no ruling yet. I'll check to see if we find something in the chats.
So as we wait for a ruling, Lily Frazier unofficially your winner by 1,000th of a second over John Hagen. Jonathan Adams unofficially third, definitely sandwiched between those two cars. And after that, it's basically whatever order they wrecked through into the field. Joshua Susi currently unofficially fourth, Blake Henderson fifth, Alyssa Pellier Sharp in sixth. Selena Thompson in 7th, Austin Mongold 8th, Pacey Wygant 9th, and Josh Arnold rounding out the top 10 unofficially as we look at this one more time.
Frazier gets that run, and then she's still got space. She's still got the hole to go through. Keep an eye on the finish too. Then she goes low and still space, still space, still space, drifting below the line, drifting below the line, drift below the line, and then Adams comes down. That's I'm. You can't say she was forced there. That was clearly below before Adams even got there. So that was taken to run below the line. That's how I see it at the very least. That if the yellow line rule's in effect, that was not a legal move. But we checked to see who crossed the line anyway. We'll zoom it up just a bit here. Close. Ooh, Fender. I
It's a very tough decision.
yeah. I obviously I can't see anything in the chats. I don't have that open, so we'll have to wait until someone says something in the chat. Uh that looks like because the right fender. Hmm.
And this is something else to consider in this situation. You're allowed to make the pass with a tire on the yellow line. The minute your tires cross over, that's what makes it an illegal pass. So the something that race control is going to have to figure out here is at what point was the 11 trying to make the pass with our tires on the yellow line, and did the 24er down there?
Yeah, that's I don't know how it says ugly. It's an exhibition race, so this is not the main thing. And we're seeing in the chat now saying some give this the win, this get other win. Obviously, that we're wait. Yeah, we don't have a call yet. Obviously, it's all in the chat, but that's give the 11 the win. But if if I'm in race control, I'm saying Hagen. I just think the 11 went below intentionally there to try to make a move and then got the force. That's how I see it. But obviously, other people see it the other way. And it's still under review here, so it's either going to be the 44 or the 11. We know Jonathan Adams finished third. That's easy math right now. Hagen is the winner. He is the official winner. John Hagen has won. Oh, I'd like to see who got second too. Did they give Frazier second? I assume they probably did.
All we know right now is John Hagen unofficially the winner. We're gonna obviously this will go under further review. I'm sure this will be debated until the end of time, but right now John Hagen being currently scored as your winner.
Look at that graphics. It's winner and then currently second right under it. That's how close this finish was. Frazier's moved to the end of the lead lap. So that what's in the chat. So Frazier did not count. That was an illegal move. So Frazier move does not count. So second place now is promoted to Jonathan Adams.
So John Hagen, Jonathan Adams for
And
1 and 2.
Sosi gets third now on the last step of the podium, just for finishing it out, even though third doesn't really get anything.
So John Hagen, Jonathan Adams, and Joshua Susi round out your top 3. Again, all unofficial, but this is what Race Control is telling us from a preliminary perspective. And what a wild way to finish what's been a fun race through and through.
Yeah, no, that was definitely fun, exciting. If there were real races like that in a couple weeks, maybe let's hope we're not sitting here scratching our heads for about 5 minutes trying to figure out who won. Maybe just, it would be best to know who just won off the line, have a clear winner. But it was still a great finish there. You love to see side-by-side finishes. Can't take it away from Millie Frazier at the very least. She tried to make a move happen there. It did end up not working out, but you still love the heart and the passion. And if she takes that excitement and that passion and that heart and takes it into the final in the 300 next week or a couple weeks' time, she will definitely be one to watch. And Arrowhead Racing just put a stamp on the start of the season saying, hey, we're strong in the plate racing. Come catch us.
I think John Hagen has been officially told that, unofficially told that he is unofficially the winner. Why don't you see if you can catch up to him there, Kevin?
All righty, we'll hear what he has to say. Here, we'll bring him on in and see what he has to say. John, this is Kevin, the ABM booth. You got a copy?
I have a copy.
Well, that was a very, very eventful finish there, to say the least. But I guess before we get to the finish, we'll have you hear your thoughts about the whole race. But let's just kind of start off at the beginning. At heat number 1, I guess we'll start off here. As obviously plate racing, you made a lot of aggressive moves early, but we saw those cars being a bit unstable. How did it feel out there, especially with the change of conditions and the lower fuel loads?
It felt really good. I had Carmen pushing really well. That was some of the best pushing I could have asked for. The whole first stage and even the second towards the end or the final, I guess. But it was awesome. I really didn't have to worry too much about being unstable, and I guess as part of that's being up front, having that clean air on the nose and giving me downforce when people in the back might have had less downforce while they were getting hit. But it was a whole lot of fun. It was great to run up front all of that first stage and then charge through the field for the finale. It was just awesome. It was amazing. It was best racing I could ask for.
Yeah, that is technically correct. You did start in the back of the pack of stage two for winning state heat number one. And you also had that fun fact being one of the only drivers to lead in both stages. So hat tip for you as well. But moving a little bit further on in the line of questioning here, obviously you obviously were a free agent pickup for Arrowhead Racing when they had a few drivers lose, as I see Chrissy getting some graphics quickly fixed up there. But anyway, finishing my point though, obviously you were a free agent pickup and you were kind of a new team, a new environment, and you said you were working well with Carmen, Sienna, and you were in the team chef for Arrowhead Racing. So how did this new team environment feel for you in your real first race with Arrowhead Racing?
Communication was crisp and clear, and it was really easy to figure out where runs were coming from. And I was helping out Lily and Carmen, and they were helping me out figure out where to go and when to go. And it was great to be able to put on the top and keep it up front. Uh, Teamwork was really just really good as a whole.
hmm I guess I'll throw out another question here, kind of again staying with the teamwork. Obviously, though, since it is a race at the end of the day, I guess I'll ask for a little bit maybe behind the curtain here. If Carmen obviously didn't get involved in that last lap wreck there, what would she have tried to pull out, or was she pushing you to the finish?
The consensus was every man and woman for themselves. Backstretch slash turn three, wherever you deemed it appropriate. I was fine with that on the first stage, and so was Lily when I passed her, and I was fine with whoever was behind me making a move if they had to. So, it, get us to the white. That's all we wanted.
And you did get to the white, and as chaos happened in your mirrors, I guess we've been beating around the bush to Neville. Take us through that last lap, your perspective, and that run to the finish. What was in your mind? What was you seeing as you saw probably one of the closest finishes in HTL history here?
Uh, on that last lap of the, do you want me to go first stage and the final, or just the final?
If you want to do the first stage, that works too. If you want to do however you like. I was thinking the last lap of the race, but if you want to do the first stage too, go right ahead. Both of them by great perspective.
For the first stage, my goal was to keep it single file and not invite any large runs on the bottom. And it sort of helped that there was only 5 or 6 cars at the top for that first one. And I wanted to push myself and really clear into three and sort it out from there. And I saw some space on the outside, and people were darting for the bottom. I knew if I could get to the outside, I could just pull whoever was inside of me back. And I had a big enough run to get clear. So that was how we got it done for the first stage, and then for the finale, it was a little different. The bottom got organized really quick out of two, out of nowhere. I wasn't expecting it. The top got disorganized, so I pulled the trigger on the block on Adams because the last lap. I mean, you got to, and pulled it there. And then my goal from there was to keep it on the outside, not let him get outside of me. It'd be fine if he got to the inside of me, but I wanted to make sure I had that side draft to pull him back, coming to the line, and it was just chaos. It was just hoping and praying that I could keep it out in front. We got a little glued together and then bouncing off each other, coming to the line. They gave you all that great finish. But overall, it was a whole lot of fun, a whole lot of split second decisions.
hmm And then I guess I'll ask one more question, or maybe two more. I'll ask my co-commentator here, Joe. If you have any other thoughts, questions you want to ask John, our race winner.
Now, there's one question I do want to ask, and you Arrowhead has really proven themselves to be the cream of the crop. Between you and Carmen and Lily, there was no shortage of laps won, of laps led out there. The question that I do have for you, though, is now as a team, and you being the new member of the team, how do you take this momentum and take it into the real race in a couple weeks' time here, when it's not just for fun, when wrecks are more serious and there are actual points in the line?
The recipe today worked really well. Uh, Line up on the top or make your way clear to get back up to the top. That's really how these cars work around here. And if we keep following that recipe, getting up top and staying together, that's probably more important than getting on top. Staying together. Uh, Daytona come around, it should look pretty similar, and hopefully we can put it back in victory lane. If not me, one of them, Carmen, Lily, or Shad. So hopefully we have similar results in a couple weeks at Daytona.
Fair, fair. I was actually going to kind of paraphrase the same question is, and kind of similar is, I'll ask, yeah, kind of training that thought there. Any lessons learned from here? Obviously, you take anything, but anything else you really want to add as lessons learned?
Uh, it seems like they tweaked the draft package a little bit. So track position and car positioning on track is huge now. So getting your car out front and then putting it in a position where you're not getting split or you're not getting side draft is huge. So that's one of my lessons learned, and obviously just keeping the nose clean, out of trouble throughout the race.
Fair, fair. As obviously you've been here countless times, you know, I think what I'm going to say next. But if there's anyone you want to thank, family, friends, sponsors, whatever, the floor is yours. Take it away.
Shout out my beautiful girlfriend. She's watching the interview right now, and she always supports me when I do these. Shout out Arrowhead, Carmen, Lily, Chad, even though he wasn't here, for being great teammates. And, I'm sure we'll have fun in a couple weeks. Shout out you, Joe, Kevin, Kristina at ABN for putting on this broadcast. Um, Shout out Carmen for the paint scheme, and then shout out my other two painters, John Smeal and Jacob Schengle. They're also wonderful painters. If y'all need anything for any league you want put together, and yeah, it was fun. Thank you for having me.
Great to hear from you, John. Obviously, we've heard you countless times, and I got a hunch we'll be hearing you at least one more time throughout the HTL season. So you have a good rest of your week and get ready for the 300 in just a couple weeks' time.
Thank you.
And that was our race winner, John Hagan. And we still got one more interview to go, and I will bring them in the booth. And there they are right now. Jonathan Adams. This is Kevin in the ABN booth. You got a copy?
Yep.
All righty. Obviously, I guess we'll start with all stories at the beginning. Again, I asked John Hagan the same question. I'll ask you a similar question. How, because you qualified all right, obviously you were up and down throughout the race. How did the car feel out there? Well, obviously, with the lower fuel roads and the car being maybe a bit different with the draft package, how did it feel out there during those long runs in the first stage?
I'll tell you what, it was rough. It felt I don't even know how to put words together to describe it. It was just it felt rough, especially with how tight everyone is running. Just with all I mean, understandably being aggressive. I mean, this is a fun race. We're doing this for fun, but it just with all the tight racing, it just the car did not feel good. I'm gonna be completely honest. But um especially with worn tires, but that's probably the only opinion I have on it.
Fair. I guess that is fair. Obviously, I bet you if probably went up down the field, we see similar questions and similar statements, I guess, throughout the field with worn tires, as tire comedy did seem to be at least a little important throughout these runs. Obviously, though, your first stage didn't end the greatest when you ended up being involved in an incident. I think back-to-back incidences, which tore up the car enough that it caused you to kind of have to miss the last couple laps. So at the end of stage one, knowing that you were going to have a better start in stage two because of inversion, because you having the problems in stage one, kind of go through your mind. Would you were glad to be up front, or would you maybe preferred maybe to finish the race and maybe be a little bit further back?
Well, in my head, I was just going for the stage one win, and that obviously did not work out. So I just went with whatever would have happened. I mean, I would just went with the flow of everything. Starting up front, kind of, I kind of forget what happened at the start of the second stage. I'm gonna be completely honest. It kind of was just a blur. I'm pretty sure I fell back through the field per usual. Probably got involved in a wreck or two.
Hmm.
Um, but I mean, overall, I mean, still finished second, so I'd say it ended up working out pretty good.
Hmm. And then I guess I'll add on to that thought of questions. Obviously, in the opening lap of stage two, you were involved in that incident with Gary Donaldson, and you end up getting T-boned by Gary Donaldson there on that point. It didn't damage the car enough to really damage your spirits, but did that maybe change your driving style just a bit, knowing that this is going to be very chaotic, or you were just like, I'm bringing the steering wheel back regardless of what happens, even if I don't finish?
I was bringing that steering wheel back either in the garage or on the track. At that point, I was just going to work my way through the field. As basically after that, I was just driving as aggressive as possible, and it worked in some instances, and in others it did not. So,
Hmm. And I guess I got one more question here as well. Obviously, again, take us through that last lap of that stage here, because obviously you were in battling Hagen. You got a push from Odie, and then chaos happened behind your mirrors. And next thing you know, you're side by side coming to the line. So, kind of takes that last lap from your perspective.
oh, I just got to shout out Odie. I just got to shout him out for a second. And if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have been in that position because I messed up and I went low a little bit sooner than I wanted to on accident because I kind of got a little bit loose for some reason. It was really weird, but I went lower a little bit sooner than what I was expecting to, and I just committed to it. And if it wasn't for Odie, I wouldn't have been in that position at all to even be considered. to win the race at all.
Hmm.
But off of 2, I thought it was going to be. I thought I was going to get a run and take it from there. But I mean, it was a clean block from Hagen. Got to give him props for that. It's the last lap, and after that point, I was just trying everything in my power to get around him, and somehow I was not expecting him to give me the bottom. But yeah, coming to the line, I did not see Frazier behind getting a run at all. I did not see that, so I may or may not have been the culprit that led to this controversial finish. But yeah.
Fair enough on that one. Good perspective there on that point from your own eyes. At least you're willing to admit that, hey, maybe you were the villain in that regard. But obviously, review and obviously talk it out with Frazier. Why not? See what happened. Anyway, I'll ask my co-commentator in crime here, Joe. Do you have anything you want to add? Any questions? Anything you want to ask to our second place finisher?
I'm going to ask the same question that I asked your winner here, and that is, what do you learn from this race? This isn't practice. This is just watching everybody else figure out what's going on. So I'm going to ask you, what do you learn from this race, and how do you carry the momentum in to potentially win the 300 when we go back to green flag racing in about a week's time?
Well, I don't think I'll be racing in the 300. I'm not part of a team in HTL in the Cup Series. I just came out just to have a fun run, just to race with this group of people again, which I really had a lot of fun racing with. But overall, I have had very bad luck and put myself in bad positions at super speedway races. And basically, looking back at this race, I feel like I made better decisions off of certain instances, not trying to force my way through wrecks and slow down and try to avoid them. So I feel like there's a lot of lessons that I definitely learned, just based off of this race compared to my previous experiences.
Fair enough on that point. Obviously, you can use those experiences for the other series you are in, floating around, obviously, HTL Trucks, and at the same point, the Squared Cup Series. So you can definitely use these thoughts and use them, especially in those series where they can definitely blossom into things worth noting. But anyway, as it is ABN tradition, if there's anyone you want to thank, family, friends, sponsors, whatever, the floor is yours.
Well, just like to thank all y'all at ABN for putting on this stream, this good old show. For the people who are watching on Twitch as well, want to thank them for giving their support. Want to thank John Smeal and Austin Mongold for basically being my teammates in this whole thing. Didn't seem to find each other much at all, but I just want to shout them out. And also just want to shout out, once again, I want to shout out Richard Odie for giving me that big old push into 1 and 2 down the backstretch to give me an opportunity to be in contention. So, yeah.
Fair enough. It's great talking to Jonathan Adams, and even though we'll see if you maybe can unofficially get into the 300 at the very least, maybe through an open car, but if not, hopefully we'll be talking to you in other series or throughout other places as you race on throughout iRacing. But you have a good rest of your week, and you take care.
All right, you as well. Thank you.
And that was our second place finisher, Jonathan Adams. And obviously that is it for interviews. Is our third place finisher we were not able to get a hold of. So we will move on quite nicely to our finishing results. And it will be... Oh, go ahead.
No,
Joe.
please.
All right, I guess I'll take it here.
It's all yours.
Lily Frazier takes the race. Actually, not Lily Frazier. She got moved to the back.
John Hagen.
John Hagen. After all that talking, I should have paid attention. John Hagen takes the win here. Obviously, unofficially, result of the 11 was moved to the end of the lead lap for a pass with the yellow flag, the yellow line rule, I should say. So we'll have to see if that holds or not in the official results. But right now, at the moment, she has been moved to the tail end of the lead lap. So we'll vote John Hagen to race victor, with Jonathan Adams and Josh Sosi rounding out the podium. So Blake Henderson will be fourth. Elizabeth Peltier-Sharp will be your top 5. Selena Thompson, I should say. Whoops, on that point. Selena Thompson will be next position. Austin Mongold following shortly behind. Pacey Wygent will be 8th. Josh Arnold will be 9th. And then Marcus Chaffin will be 10th. Alfred Denny will be the first driver outside the top 11. Obviously promoted, went up 1. Alfred will be 11th. Christopher Pendel will be 12th. Dean Clapp will be 13th. Josh Game will be 14th. Richard Odie will have that great push and all the praise from Jonathan Adams. Will finish P15. Then Callie Height 16th. Carmen Sienna 17th. Jonathan Steele 18th. Then we'll put Lily Frazier there in 19th. because now we're at the end of the lead lap. And DJ Trout will be the first car, one down, one of the only few cars that finished multiple down. Gary Donaldson, obviously the only car not to finish this results here today, as he had 2 incidents to start the heat and ended up finishing 14 laps down. But again, it's been a great time here at the very least, and obviously Joe has a few words he'll throw off to, but just want to say again, it's been a great to be here in the booth commentating this race. And again, this has been a charity race for the Alzheimer's Association. Link has been throughout the chat a little bit. We'll probably post it one more time before this is done. But again, the Alzheimer's Association, a great charity. Obviously, the drivers running their hearts for that charity. And if you have the financial means to donate, it'd be great if you could just support the charity and try to put the resource towards an end for Alzheimer's. And there's the link popping on the screen right now, alz.org. And there's also a few links as well for the HTL version 1 as well. We'll put them in the chat again here. But again, if you can donate, that'd be great. If not, share the link around. See if we can get maybe some extra people to donate if they can. But again, don't feel pressured if you can't have the means to donate. But thank you for joining us at the very least for this charity race. And Joe, anything else you want to add?
What we saw here tonight was a very interesting microcosm of what's going to be arguably one of the better HTL seasons on record. We saw a lot of aggressive driving. We saw a lot of drivers showing each other respect, even in the heat of battle. And we saw the cream rise to the top. You had some great runs from Arrowhead Racing. You had some great runs from Lady Liberty Motorsports. So we haven't even scratched the surface of what's going to happen in this HTL season. This season is going to be arguably one of the best on record, and I think that if you're not staying tuned, if you're not going to follow along here on the Aero Broadcasting Network and ABN1, I think you're going to miss out on arguably what could be some of the best iRacing you will ever see broadcast across the internet today. So on behalf of my broadcast partner, Kevin Young, our producer, Kristina Ryan, thank you for joining us here on ABN1 for live coverage of the HTL Charity Shootout. Of course, the Alzheimer's Association being the big winner in all of this tonight as we race for them and on benefit of them. And we thank all the drivers for doing that to benefit the cause. For everybody here, my name is Joe Cortez. Thank you so much for joining us. We will see you in about a week's time when we go racing once again from the world's center of speed, Daytona International Speedway, to open the HTL season. Good night, everybody.